Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Here's something I wish we had the demographics information on this podcast at this point, but the powers that be keep that from us, so we keep the introductions extremely generic for all of you. Welcome.
Fire Vince Russo.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of your favorite NFL podcast that has been sweeping the YouTube ranks for quite a while now. 161 episodes and accounting, the Sports Agents of Chaos podcast. Of course, as you see, the stalwarts of the show the last couple of weeks, the champions in the history of this podcast, myself, the Iceman, enjoying things, and the Podfather is here beside me. Justin is continuing to be excommunicated at the current moment. After his actual punishment of missing the show last week, we have not found him on his darkness retreat. So we will be putting up missing posters here any given hour or day now, depending on whenever we get him back here on the program. But for now, we will just continue to hold strong and believe that maybe he could also just be celebrating like the Jets no longer being his problem, Rick, and maybe he's just blackout from all the celebrating.
It's really hard. It's really hard to say whether or not that's part of it. Listen, the Jets are on a winning streak. They're 2-0-1 in their last 3 games.
Look at that.
Yeah, they're 2-0-1 in their last 3 byes. So we had a pumpkin take over for a second there. Oh my goodness.
Oh, sheesh, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
it's off the rails.
There's Justin. There's Justin taking over as the pumpkin.
Oh Lord.
Oh my goodness. Oh Lord.
Oh, well, this means we need a pumpkin mascot next year.
Oh my God. Don't get me started on that. Come on now.
I will say I showed true growth the last couple shopping trips. I looked at my favorite my favorite sweet that comes along in like late September into October is like the pumpkin rolls that Aldi has had for a while now. Yeah. Like they're essentially like giant Swiss cake rolls, right? And of course pumpkin flavored. And I love getting them usually 2 to 3 times in the early autumn season in October, November. But the last 2 times I've gone, I'm like, you know what? I've had it enough this time around. We're done for the year till next year. Got to show a little bit of control and growth when it comes to that.
It's so weird that like we end the year with Thanksgiving and Christmas, which are 2 of, I would argue, the most gluttonous holidays you could think of. Thanksgiving specifically, because until Papa Dave goes back for his 5th on the turkey, you're all in trouble there. So
seriously. So, and speaking of going back for seconds, thirds, fourths, ladies and gentlemen, teams were trying to get there. Well, some teams is second, third, and fourth wins, trying to hand other teams their second, third, or fourth losses. But all in all, we are just about past the midway point of the season. Sort of it. Once again, I rue the NFL for what they've done to the schedule.
It's only going to get worse from here, bud.
Ain't that the truth? So while we are at it, while we are enjoying that time, we're going to have a little bit of fun here in a couple of moments' time on the episode and talk about the current playoff picture in the NFL and how we feel about the teams in the playoff picture right now. The typical, if the playoffs start today, how do we feel about the current teams that are in and their positions in the postseason at this moment? And we're going to have a little bit of fun when it comes to commentating and announcing here. And I know it's not going to be Rick maligning the Thursday night broadcast as he has in the past. It's not going to be that.
I mean, yeah.
Although there might still be some of that. I can't promise it won't happen. I'll just say it's not going to be the main crux of what we're doing here in a bit. But we have some recent updates in the NFL, Rick, that we have to get to here in a bit. So that being said, shall we move on to the main news to discuss as per the episode title, or do we have anything beforehand?
No, let's do it. Let's move forward from there. Yeah.
Beautiful. So this was really going to be a lot more around the league, but like once we really broke it down, the Podfather and I both agreed, there ain't really that much that happened recently, except for one thing, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is that Brian Daboll has been fired, and famous Jameis Winston is going to confirm to get the start this upcoming weekend after the unfortunate situation of what happened to Jackson Dart suffering concussions this past weekend. I'm saying concussions plural. Let's be honest, he probably somehow suffered 2 for the price of 1, because that's how this giant season has gone at this current state with all the injuries they've had to deal with. So, of course, we're excited for the Jameis Winston time per the title, and shout out to you if you're watching this and you get the reference that we're making with the episode title. But the main thing, of course, Rick, kind of something that we've been really calling on since last year. I mean, this was his 3rd year in a row on the hot seat-o-meter. I think the only coach that has survived more rounds in the hot seat-o-meter than Brian Daboll prior to the last 24 hours is Kevin Stefanski, and we'll see about him over the next couple of weeks. But Brian Daboll has been let go by the New York Football Giants. I feel like we could give a million reasons for this. But I'll throw it to you first, because I think that people are tired of hearing me for the first 5 minutes of this program. Your thoughts, feelings of the culmination of this decision by Giants management and what this is going to mean, at least short term, for the rest of the season.
So it was a long time coming. I mean, again, one of the things that we had talked about for a while with Daboll was how long of a leash he had after the surprising first season. And I think when he was featured on the very first the first time he was featured on the head coach hot seat on meter that we talked about, when my now 2-year-old was literally a month old and sleeping in my arms while I was feeding her, that fun, that sort of fun. I did mention it. Like, it's hard to put him on the hot seat the year after he had such an unmistakably incredible, miraculous year that he had. 9-7-1, and they went to the playoffs. They won a playoff game, and he was coach of the year. The problem was that after that year, the Giants brass did him no favors because they didn't build the team around him all that well. And when they did finally have these young stars, these star players that could come in, that could be exciting, electrifying, unfortunately, they were all bitten by the injury bug. But what that shows you is that depth in this league is super critical, and having the ability to coach your way out of a paper bag is super critical as well. Because again, the only thing that I will say is that the running back room for the Giants at least has some significant depth to it. Like Tyrone Tracy last year was the breakout star, and Devin Singletary, for everything that he's not, he is still a NFL running back who has some good, years to his name. So after Scattaboo went down, you had those two guys, and fine. It's a lot different than Saquon being backed up by Gary Brightwell and Matt Breida, but, I digress. When Malik Neighbors went down, the Giants didn't do anything to shore up that line, that wide receiver room. Wan'Dale Robinson basically became the number one de facto because he's the main target for wide receivers, at least. And Slayton was a 2. Hyatt was a never-used 3. Humphrey, Collins, were there. They just started using Gunnar Olszewski, but he's not really tantamount to anything more than a 1-2 catch a year type of guy. And then just the quarterback room, just the reticence to go to Jameis Winston, who would at least show you a little more, power and pop when Jackson Dart got concussed. And instead, you're going back to a guy who I think the short-term memory was really on with Daboll and even with Kafka when they forgot that they were 0-3 with Wilson as their starter, and they were not a good offensive team 0-3 with Wilson as their starter. So getting Winston out there might at least be better for them. But just that hard-headed style of just hitting the wall over and over and over again, expecting a different result, not doing anything to address the shortcomings on the depth, and just an all-in-all bad sequence of losses, too. I mean, the Denver game sticks out now. The Chicago game last week really sticks out, too, because it's just a lack of preparedness on the defensive side of the ball to shore up one final drive. I understand the team's gassed and all of that, and I get that. But you've got to, if you're all-world players like Dexter Lawrence is, you've got to be able to get back into the flow of things and stop the opposing offense, hold on to a lead, and move forward from there. They just couldn't do it. That coupled with embarrassing fourth down calls and the Graham Gano situation constantly rearing its head, and the fact that the Giants never take 2 kickers because it would help them if they did. But again, over the last couple of years, how many times have you seen losses by this team that have been because their special teams team has been non-existent? Last year, the Washington game, when Gano gets hurt in pre-warm-ups, they don't have a kicker, so they can't kick field goals when basically that's all Washington did. I think it wasn't an Austin Siebert's like 7 of 8 game or something like that. This year, Gano gets hurt. They bring on a untested, unproven rookie, Jude McAtamney. 2 PATs missed, and that's the difference in the game. Gano gets hurt this week. At least now they're like, oh, third time? Okay, let's go to Young Hoi Koo. Seemed to work, but they ruined the missed opportunities because they went for it on fourth down. Just not good coaching all throughout. So, long time coming. Not really sad to see him go. I know Giants fans aren't really sad to see him go. I think they're a little concerned about what they have in the interim because I don't think they want to see Mike Kafka do anything that special or that crazy. So I don't think they let. I don't think they. I think Giants fans want to start totally fresh.
Right.
I think they want to burn everything else down to the ground. Get rid of Shane Bowen on defense, get rid of Kafka, bring on a staff that actually has some veteran presence and some big leaders that are there. Because keep in mind this too. This is now the fourth head coach since Tom Coughlin left.
Believe so. Yeah. Ben McAdoo.
McAdoo, as I have to call him. Joe Judge.
Yep.
Pat Shurmur.
Yep.
And Dable. And let me tell you something. Judge and Shurmur should never have been head coaches in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's a bad stretch of 4, because if I recall, it went from Jim Fossil to Tom Coughlin, and the Giants were sustainable and successful. And now you've basically opened the door for itchy, scratchy, holy and moly, and here we are with Kafka. Metamorphosis. Great.
It's really, when it comes to what coaching for the Giants has been for a while now. Like, this is also multiple GMs where you got to be able to nail the guy. You got to be able to pick the guy. And if you're Joe Shane now, like, he almost has to be under a bit of a microscope because this was his first guy. This was the guy he brought in. Now, as we've seen throughout the league, you do tend to get more than one guy. 9 times out of 10. Certain guys don't. Some guys don't end up getting that kind of luck. But in this case, Joe Shane is going to be given that. But it almost like, from a roster construction perspective, he needs to, come up for that too. I will say, just to strictly keep the Dayball for a second, like, yeah, sometimes I'm always like, am I a little bit too harsh? But then I'm like, no, I feel like I'm telling the truth. And like that first season, the first season we did the show, that magical Giants Dayball season, that first year, and I called it the entire time. This is an unsustainable way to win football games consistently. And look what happened the next year when Saquon went down. And look what happened, with X, Y, and Z when Daniel Jones wasn't as protected, whether it be from the actual offensive line or from a scheming perspective. Like, it's one of those things where, kind of what you were saying, coaching your way out of a paper bag, we would not expect any head coach to be able to necessarily win a ton of games with missing their number one running back and their number one receiver and a myriad of other injuries. But you can clearly tell, and I think in today's world, it might be more obvious now than it may have been in, like, let's say the mid to late 2000s or even the 90s, Rick, where you can tell a lot quicker now when a coach has lost his guys. And I just don't think that, whether it be part of it on the players or part of it just on the coaching staff and the head coach himself, I just don't think that Dayball ever really had something here. Like, I'm specifying this season, of course, where it just felt like from day one, like you said, like they started Russell Wilson early, aside from the one game that they had with the Cowboys, like where the offense popped off, which at this point it doesn't really count because we know the Cowboys defense has just been atrocious the entirety of the season. Like, it was a decision. You started the veteran, should have started the other veteran. Realistically, Jameis should have been the lion's share of starting to begin things. Then you go to the rookie, which there was even like a 50-50 thing. They didn't want to go to him as quickly as they did. We know that from reports. And then it ultimately goes with him. You see some success, right? Some semblance of it. You win a little bit. Still lose more times than you win, but you had the win against the Chargers. You had that win against the Eagles. Ironically, 2 playoff teams at the moment.
Yeah.
Like you find success weirdly on these Sundays against like these top teams, but you just keep losing pieces and pieces. And this is why I say, like, part of this is definitely on Dayball and him being fired. Like, the offense looked like it just completely sputtered out. Like, he is clearly, how many times have we said this about Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, where they can scheme any running back to 70 to 80 yards on an efficient number of carries. Brian Daboll just can't do that. And his calling card of working with the quarterbacks never ended up coming through the same way. So it's one of those things where you hate to see it in terms of just like guys getting fired. It's like I relatively don't like seeing that, but ultimately it's what the organization needed. It's what had to be done. And now you look at the short term, like you said, I don't think there can be any thought of giving Kafka the job long term. I think it's strictly he's going to be the interim and we don't have to worry about that going forward. the most that he can do, and that Joe Shane should use as a semblance for the remainder of the season is when Jackson Dart comes back into the lineup, because JAMEIS is starting this week. It's JAMEIS. Well, JAMEIS is starting for the rest of this is starting this week, and he might next week, all things considered, because we're seeing in the CJ Stroud situation, he might miss multiple weeks. We saw Jaden Daniels miss multiple weeks. It could be a fair bet to say Jackson Dart's probably going to miss an extra game or two even after this week. Like in the time with JAMEIS, and then specifically when Dart does come back to finish out the season, because we know he's going to finish out the season. Like, are there certain things that Kafka can do with Jackson Dart to accentuate his strengths and what he can do, and then that's what you're going to look for in your next permanent head coach. And like you said, like, and not necessarily just veterans, but just can you find a head coach who, between himself and the coaching staff he's going to bring, like a combination of, is there discipline, is there veterans there, but is there also some innovation and trying to focus things specifically for your players, and how complex can you be with the scheming, and how can you mold your scheme, and how can you mold it to a way where, like, I always feel like the best coaches, like, yes, they have a scheme, but I feel like they can find a way to make good players fit in their schemes, like a McVay, like a Shanahan. Like, I feel like those guys, Kevin O'Connell, like, those are the kinds of offensive minds, whether it's going to be as your head coach or whether it's your, like, the offensive coordinator your head coach is going to bring in, right? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be the head coach being the offensive mastermind. You know, it is the next guy who's going to be in charge of the offense. Can he do that? Ben Johnson in Chicago, even, like, and not saying Ben Johnson's a bad coach, but just what Chicago was last year offensively, how dismal it looked to the improvements that we've seen this year. Like, even if Bears fans would argue that it should still be even better than what it is, and they do have some. There is a bit of an argument for that. Yes, there is, but just that kind of, like, you know, I think now that Daboll is gone, the pressure is on Joe Shane here to make sure he nails this next hire with his head coach, with the coaching staff, and then also for me, he needs to start making up for some of the draft picks that have been made. That Evan Neal is a generational miss at this point.
Yes, he is.
He is a miss. I don't want to critique him because the sack numbers haven't been there, but he has been critical in the Giants' rushing defense. So I don't want to, but it almost feels like the Kayvon Thibodeau thing. Like, you just, so many pass rushers were brought into this team that at this point you almost consider you have too much on that front four, where it's like it's just not performing to the level that we thought it would.
Right.
Like Thibodeau, Abdul Carter. I think Abdul Carter, it was harsh on him early on, but I think as the season has gone, there's been a steady appreciation of, okay, Abdul Carter is making a bit of an impact, but it's not the eye-popping double-digit sack rookie season kind of way that we've seen from the Bosa brothers.
Well,
or I mean, the rest of us didn't pan out, or Chase Young when he was.
Yeah, but to your point on that end too, what you just said is totally accurate. Maybe the reason why he's not is because there's so many guys that are there. You know, that's an obvious one, I think, for him. And I agree with you that Joe Shane's got to be looked at on the draft side of things, but then you look at other avenues that Joe Shane has won on. I feel like the Brian Burns pickup, has looked to be a massive win for them. You know, I think before he was injured, I thought Blake Martinez was going to be a good player for them, and honestly, same thing with Micah McFadden. He was a late round draft pick that he's been hurt all year, but he was turning into a solid player, you know, before he got hurt this year. I think there are avenues that they have improved on, thanks to the drafting and the free agency. But let me tell you something. If I'm Joe Shane, I do not go to John Mara, and I do not say to John Mara, here's my first candidate, Joe Brady. I do not say that to John Mara, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because you fired the Buffalo offensive coordinator, who's not his coach, to bring in the next Buffalo offensive coordinator. Like, where's the creativity in that? I understand Joe Shane has those ties and all of that, but you only bring him in as like a third or fourth option. Like, he can't be your lead guy because that is too easy, and that's going to get him fired. Like, you have to think outside the box with this hire a little bit, and you have to think about it in a way that will get you, like you said, that second or third bullet in the chamber. I mean, for crying out loud, Tom Tedesco had 4 of them as the Chargers GM. He didn't deserve 1, but he had 4 of them. So, but to your point too, there's a lot of TL players that were picked. a lot of players that are picked in the Shane regime, and a lot of them have not done very well. I think you look at that defensive secondary, that backfield, and you say, miss. Flott, Belton, Phillips, Banks, massive miss in Banks. And I mean, again, it just shows you, that just Muasau, late round pick last year, big miss. Neal, horrible miss.
Yeah.
Hyatt, you haven't used him, so I guess by proxy he's a miss, but
we just don't know.
Right, we just don't know. The only ones that I think are okay are the tight ends. Bellinger they've used well. Johnson they've used well. I mean, Illuminor looks really good. Marcus Mbao, when he's in the game, he's fine, but again, he's still young. Schmitz was okay, but he was thrust into a bad situation last year, and he hasn't really fully improved this year, but he's getting there. So there are some, but it's not enough, I think.
Their biggest hits have been the skill position players that they've keyed in on that actually play.
Correct.
Neighbors, Scatabo, etc. And then the defensive linemen, who we believe there is the talent there, but is it almost starting to become a case where, again, I feel like this goes back to the coaching of, how are they being utilized? What are the packages? What blitzes or even just regular pass rush plays are being dialed up to where every guy can contribute on the play. This is where the coaching aspect of it comes to. And I think you said it perfectly. If you're Joe Shane, the only way, forgetting the third and fourth bullet, this second bullet needs to be the one for you.
Absolutely.
This needs to be the bullet to where you can have a good 5-6 years with this guy and you can at least last a little bit on the job. Because, I mean, look, for all we want to say about Chris Greer and what ended up happening, at least him and Mike McDaniel got a decent bit of years there, right?
Yeah.
At least they got a little bit of time that there was something. If you're Joe Shane, if this next bullet does not give you close to 500 in year one, there's going to be a lot of conversations. Next year.
I mean, and that's the thing too, is that let's look at it like this. Let's compare Thibodeau and Carter's draft classes, right? So Thibodeau was taken 5th in 2022. The only defensive ends that were taken ahead of him were Trayvon Walker, which should not have been the number 1 overall pick, and we said that from the get-go.
Yep.
And Aiden Hutchinson, who damn well should have been the number 1 overall pick. But then what I like to do then is I like to do that game where I'm like, oh, who was still available when you could have picked him at that point? I guess if you're the Giants and you're looking down, Drake London maybe could have been a pick there. Garrett Wilson, I suppose. Maybe Charles Cross, because Aquanu and Neal had done nothing, really.
Right.
The next defensive player was Jordan Davis of the Eagles. Yeah. But the next Pro Bowler was Kyle Hamilton. Maybe Kyle Hamilton in the Giants secondary would have been a good option there. Yeah. I don't really know, though. And then
that's kind of the cutoff point, because then I'm looking at this 2022 class, and you want to talk about going on a run, but in the wrong way. 15th, Kenyon Green. 16th, Jahan Dotson, who I still think is a decent player. It's just unfortunate that he's no longer on the team that drafted him. Zion Johnson on the Chargers is fine. That's probably the best of this bunch. But then Traylon Burks, Trevor Penning,
who just got traded to the Chargers.
Kenny Pickett, and then probably the gem from the middle of this first round was Trent McDuffie. He's the best one. And then Quay Walker's been fine, but I think we've all agreed, kind of after his rookie season, he's not the guy in that in the front seven for Green Bay. He's just a supporting piece.
And then Kyer Elam.
Yeah.
Which isn't it telling, though, that once you get past Kyle Hamilton, you look at 15, no longer on the team that drafted him. 16, not on the team that drafted him. 18, no. 19, no. 20, no. 23, no. Doesn't that tell you something about draft aspects of all that? It's bad. Yeah. But the point I was going to make was this year for Abdul Carter, that was the pick they should have made, because look at the 2 guys drafted ahead of him.
Yeah.
Cam Ward is trending this week to be 9.9 fantasy points. That's lower than Zach Ertz. That's telling you something.
That's saying a lot.
And then Travis Hunter's done for the season. But even so, he wouldn't have been. I feel like Travis Hunter is one of those cases where it's going to go in the realm of Jerome Peppers, where he should have picked 1 and stuck with it. Two. You can't do 2-way in the NFL. You just can't. But Abdul Carter was the right choice. That's why he went number 1 in our mock, because that was the best player on the board available.
Yep.
Yes. So, but that goes to your point, and it goes to the point that I bring up constantly about my time in the Major League Lacrosse world. Too many players, too many stars, one ball, one sack. No one's getting their share of the Thanksgiving dinner there.
Yeah, and just strictly like placement on the line, like Dexter Lawrence is the guy who's honestly been able to do the best of the last couple of years, and I part of that is the talent, and part of that is just also the fact that I like put him anywhere. We know where Dexter Lawrence is going to line up for the most part, but everyone else it changes. Like you said, Thibodeau started out as a pass rusher, but then he's been moved to that linebacker spot a couple times as kind of being that hybrid guy, and again he has been an asset to the run stopping ability of the Giants, or what little they do have whenever they actually have good rushing defense, and that's why they kept him, because there was rumors potentially of him being dealt prior to the deadline, but those quickly end up being quashed because why would you trade one of the few run stopping defensive pieces you have? So like this is just one of those things where this is a massive draft here coming up for Joe Schoen, and we know right now the long term, whatever people may want to say or think about him. Look, Jackson Dart is. He's at least been something this season for the Giants.
Yes.
I mean, he's injected a little bit of life there. And as of now, whether you truly think he is going to be the guy or not, and I actually do think he has a chance to really be something for the Giants. Like, you need to go all in on him being the guy right now. Because honestly, was it earlier today or was it yesterday? I was having this conversation at work. Rick, early on, not early on, we're actually almost to the end of the college football season. Dude, this quarterback draft class is not looking hot this year for college football.
No, it's not. And it is horrific. I mean, there's a couple of guys that look pretty good, but again, this is going to be the Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis here all over again, where a team's going to draft a quarterback just because they need a quarterback, but you really have to believe that Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana is going to be the guy, because that's the only guy.
I almost feel like
Rick,
this might be like you mentioned that. Yes, Pickett was also he was the only first round quarterback from his draft. This almost could also compare it to the EJ Manuel class.
Yeah,
it's just the one main guy, and then the second quarterback in that draft was Gino, right? Was it him?
Let me take a look. Let me confirm that. It sounds right. Let me confirm that for you.
But whoever it ended up being, the pick discrepancy between the first and the second quarterback in that draft class was anywhere from 30 to 40 picks. And similar thing ended up happening with the Pickett, of course, the infamous Pickett. I remember this Pickett, Willis, Ritter, and don't forget Matt Corral.
That's right.
Those were the guys. Dude, I'm telling you, the hype that they were really attempting around all four of those guys.
Yeah.
It just ended up being nothing.
Well, because that's what the position is. By the way, to your point, yes, you're correct. EJ was the first one picked at 16.
Mm-hmm.
Gino was 39th in the second round. So it wasn't as big as Pickett, but then you have the drop to the third quarterback picked. You want to take a stab at who that was? 73rd overall, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Sporkle legend, played for the Bears.
Mike Glennon? Look at that.
Yep. But again, if you want to go further down, Matt Barkley was in that draft class.
Oh, poor Matt Barkley.
Ryan Nassib, who barely did anything.
I need to know. This honestly annoys me to this day. Who in Matt Barkley's inner circle screwed him out of millions of dollars? Who told him to not come out the year before and to stay in college one more year?
The same person that said that to Christian Hackenberg Penn State as well.
Who is look, and I understand that, obviously it's not good for teams when you draft a guy 5th overall, but just from the player perspective, I'm all about these kids getting paid, especially back then when there was nothing for the college kids compared to now. Who on God's green earth convinced the likes of Matt Barkley and a Christian Hackenberg to not come out when their draft hype was peak? I feel like Hackenberg got a little bit unlucky because I feel like it's also with the rules. I don't think he would have been the best season he had at Penn State. I don't even think he would have been eligible to come out anyways. So it's he's a little bit of a different case. But Barkley is the one where it's why did you not come out early? Why? He would have been top 6, Rick? Top 7 the year before? Had to have been.
Let's see. Let me see. 2012. Yeah,
just based on the hype. Hype, the belief,
mm-hmm.
And I'm sure if you list who the first 6 teams were back in 2012, I'm sure we're going to find minimum one that needed a quarterback, if not more.
Well, so let's see. So the Colts had number 1. They took Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck.
The Redskins had the second pick. They took Robert Griffin the third.
Traded up for that bad boy.
Traded up for that. Ooh, we all know about that one. The Browns had the 3rd overall pick that year to Trent Richardson. Now,
Jesus.
Now, let me take a look at their roster. They would draft for Brandon Whedon later on in that draft. Remember,
I was gonna say I could still see the Browns making the same decision they did.
Yep.
Just because, and we're not giving them. I mean, we could give them hindsight 2020. They might still make the choice, but we're saying in the context of that time, I could still see the Browns making the choice of get the skill position player first, get who is supposed to be the franchise running back first, and then get the decent quarterback later in the first. I don't hate the concept. The problem is the team that executed it and the guys they picked.
So that's the Browns, which is the Browns. The Vikings, the 4th pick. They had Christian Ponder, I believe. They drafted him the year prior.
I think they would have considered it.
Well, but they picked Matt Khalil instead.
Okay, left tackle. That's fair.
Yeah. The Jaguars had the 5th pick, and they had Chad Henne, and I think somebody else was hurt that there was a quarterback for them. There was probably an injured quarterback on their side as well.
Did they not draft Blaine Gabbert?
Gabbert. They had Well, it wasn't there, but they had Gabbert, and they picked Justin Blackman. That's pretty bad. And then you had Dallas at 6.
Morris Claiborne was the pick, wasn't it?
Yep, and they had Romo. But they had Romo, and the rest of their quarterback room was Kyle Orton, Stephen McGee, and Rudy Carpenter.
I thought you were going to say John Kitna.
But the rest of that draft, in terms of quarterbacks, Tannehill went 8 to the Dolphins. Maybe they could have used Barkley instead of Tannehill.
I'd say so, probably.
Whedon 22nd to the Browns. So you're right. I mean, Barkley got a really bad. I think Barkley got swept up in the hype of, I'm at USC. We're gonna be preseason number 1 overall. We're coming off of a 2-year postseason ban. I have Lane Kiffin as the head coach. I'm expected to win the Heisman. Let me come back for 1 more year, prove everyone right, win everything, and then next year I'll be the number 1 overall pick. Didn't work out that way.
It's so like
you lost down on being the number 1 overall pick to a guy from Central Michigan.
This was him. 3,528 yards, 39 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions, a 69.1 nice completion percentage in his 3rd year. Honestly, I know we're trying to apply as much logic as we can, but I genuinely think if he goes in that draft, you could convince me that a team tries to trade up for him.
Oh yeah,
even in one of the, because Tampa Bay at 7 picked Mark Barron. I don't think they didn't give Josh Freeman a contract extension. I could see Matt Barkley going 7th overall. Truthfully,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, Barron was fine in the pros. He was okay. But
you could almost, you know what I bet would have happened? Here's what I bet would have happened. Here, let's have a little bit of fun with this.
Go for it.
The Bucks trade up with the Browns to 3rd overall for Barkley. 4th overall stays the same because remember the Vikings do have Adrian Peterson there. Yes. And this was either just before or just as we were about to go into the generational Adrian Peterson season.
Yeah.
And so I think they would have stayed the course. And then the Browns, because this is just Browns football, they trade back up with the Jags at 5th overall to get Trent Richardson.
Yeah.
Because Jerry Jones would have somehow been tempted for Trent Richardson at 6th.
I mean, I'll do you one better. I'll give you a team that probably should have drafted a quarterback, didn't, regret it, but they would probably have gotten Barkley if everything had fallen into place. Arizona, in lieu of drafting Michael Floyd, which that was great, they could have picked Matt Barkley if he had gone out to supplant Brian Hoyer, the ageless wonder, who I think is still playing in the NFL at some point. I don't know where. A rookie named Ryan Lindley.
Oh, never forget the Ryan Lindley starts. Was John Skelton still on that team?
John Skelton was on that team as well, yeah. Hello?
What kind of inferno were we living?
Could you have imagined a scenario in which you have Matt Barkley coming off of his best year of college, handing the ball off to a prime Beanie Wells, or running a play action and throwing the ball deep down the field to Larry goddamn Fitzgerald?
Yeah.
Cardinals would have won the division every year.
And this was before this would make things interesting because this was before the 2012 draft into the 2012 season. Carson Palmer was still a Raider and was going to be one for that entire campaign. Like that almost changes history because then Carson Palmer, you could argue, would then be sent to a team. And I almost wonder if there's a fun alternate timeline here to where maybe this is still a year or two early where it ended up happening, but like when Andy Reid took over the Kansas City Chiefs, rather than Alex Smith, what about a scenario where it would have been Carson Palmer with Andy Reid in Kansas City?
Oh, that would have been interesting. That would have been a really, really interesting one. I also think that Carson Palmer could have gone to the Jets because, hey, it's USC quarterback. Let's see how it works here. You know?
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
From Stabby McSanchez to Carson Palmer, you know?
Yeah, honestly, so Reid gone with the Eagles January 4th, 2013, signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. April 2nd, 2013 is the Carson Palmer to Arizona deal.
Yeah.
There is a realm of possibility in some alternate reality where Carson Palmer and Kansas City, because, well, you would have had to assume that they wouldn't have made the trade for Alex Smith because they made that trade in February 2013. Whereas the Carson Palmer one happened in April. So,
well, it might have been Carson Palmer being the guy that was traded in February then in that case.
Maybe. And also, like, you look at hindsight 2020, Alex Smith, they traded a second-round pick to get him. Carson Palmer only cost a sixth-round pick and another conditional pick. So, you know,
right.
Hindsight 2020. How on God's green earth did we fall down this rabbit? See, this is what happens when Justin's not here. We fall down these
rabbit holes. Oh, man. In any event, though, I'm excited to go back to our point. I'm excited to see Jameis start this weekend. I mean, I don't know how much what he's going to be able to do and how much, but you know it's going to be fun.
He temporarily revived David Njoku for a bit. I'm sure David Njoku misses Jameis Winston.
My one regret, though, about this game is that he's staring at Micah Parsons on the other side of the ball.
Damn, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's not good for anybody.
Yeah, it is. That's a tough first one, but but to what we were saying, if anyone is going to get Jalen Hyatt to have a good game, it's Jameis. It's got to be Jameis.
It has to be. Oh my God! Fantasy pick: Gunnar Olszewski for 200 receiving yards in this one game because of Jameis.
He might.
Yep.
Dude,
350 all-purpose yards.
Jameis is gonna sling that bad boy over.
Oh my God! Let's go. Let's have
and it's gonna be to like the random names. Like it's not Wan'Dale Robinson. Okay, Darius Slayton. Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Fine.
Yeah,
give me a 79 touchdown pass to Lil Jordan Humphrey. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's
Wait,
go.
Is he still on the team? I'm seeing that he's a Bronco now.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
That could also just be the ESPN app not performing at its caliber, which
ESPN app.
Yeah, Gunnar Jalen Hyatt only having 3 catches this season is absurd.
It's the Malachi Corley effect, man.
Oh my God, poor dude. He's also in his 3rd season. I completely forgot about that.
I know.
We did the 2023 draft with him,
and he was a baller coming out of Tennessee. He was so good coming out of Tennessee, and then the Giants just never used him properly. He's the guy that's on another team because he can be a star somewhere else in this league. Seriously. Mark it down. If the second team, if he goes somewhere else, he will be a star in this league.
I believe it. Definitely. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes really the biggest piece of news that came out. Brian Daboll being fired, not a surprise for us. So with this, so how many coaches have been fired so far now? It's
Callahan,
and Daboll. It feels like there's more. Well, we're still waiting for the McDaniel news to be official.
And LaFleur, but some of us are waiting for that one, but yeah, it's fine, I suppose.
So we have 3. We have 2 so far. Let's be honest, it's technically 3 with McDaniel. So we'll see how that goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on from that and let's have a little bit of fun this episode because Justin's not here. So if he ever does show up, if he recovers from his stupor, then we'll change things up a little bit. But for now, the Podfather and I get to have fun. And what could be more fun than going down the rabbit hole of Matt Barkley and what his career could have been like and Carson Palmer and what his career could have been like? I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is an NFL announcing team tier list. So we're not going to have like a tier list on the site because Lord knows the production team at this little makeshift organization is overworked and underpaid.
Yes.
So we don't have a proper tier list, like in terms of like the tier builder sites to be able to do this week in terms of like catch us. But what the Podfather is, because we are fantastic at working on the fly, ladies and gentlemen, the Podfather has the teams that are going to be. Is it for every single game this week, Rick? Is what you were able to collect?
Yes,
so Rick has every single announced team, and we're going to give our own tier list essentially of our thoughts about these announced teams throughout the NFL world, from the ESPN crew to the Fox crews, CBS, everything. We're going to give our opinions on that, and just a simple, standard S to F scale. We don't need to be too crazy with this.
Yeah. Incidentally, by the way, I will say that if Matt Barkley and Carson Palmer, if that alternate universe had existed, I might not hate USC as much as I do.
Yeah, honestly,
but we'll see. Let's get the big one out of the way first. Tomorrow night, Thursday night, you have the Jets and Patriots game, and it is going to be in Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit vehicle. I'll go first on this one. I think that they stay out of the F tier for me just because the history of Al Michaels calling sports is something that you can't argue against. I go C for me. Like, I think that he is past his prime. He should hang it up, but he's still got some knowledge about football. And as much as I don't like Kirk Herbstreit for obvious reasons, I think he adds a good level of touch to the game that is kind of an interesting little nugget there. I thought that him coming up from the college ranks to do pro games was interesting, but I think that he's made it work. And I think that they're a decent enough team that works somewhat well together. Just shame that they're on a horrible network that's run by a multi-billion-dollar glutton. So a C tier for me for that. For her, Herbstreit.
I think that's fair. I like her. I think he's actually really taken well to calling the professional games for the years that he's done it. Now, I think kind of like I still think some of his best work was when he was more focusing on the college side of things.
Yeah.
But I think he's done pretty well at the professional ranks. And yeah, like you said, like sports announcing is such a tough field to age gracefully, and it's a case where if you're Al Michaels, like if someone's going to pay him, why wouldn't he do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just one of those things where, to an extent, can't fault the guy because like he's done this his entire life, and like the number of monumental sports events that he's done in his career, like to do a 10th of what he's done, Rick, is the kind of stuff that like people like us dreamed of being able to do.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I'd say C. I would maybe consider a B if maybe Al was a couple of years younger, even, and we know that there's still more to it. But I think now at this point, like we know it's just like let the man ride out the way he wants to. They're having fun when they do this stuff. Honestly, I think more often than not. So I think C. On some games maybe a B. I think if it's a good enough game, I think that maybe gets, because something like when they have a bad game, like what are they supposed to do?
Right.
So
No,
I think a C big on average is good.
And that's the thing too, is that if you have guys that have like bad games to work with, can they make them exciting? Is the real question mark that's there for you. I don't really know about that, but we'll give it a shot here. Now, this is an interesting one. The Sunday morning game, which is going to be in Madrid on NFL Network. Now, I would normally have expected NFL Network to have the team of Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner do the game. It's not. Supposedly, after their rip-roaring performance with President Trump at the Commanders game, Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilmer are getting this one. They're doing a trade over from Fox to NFL Network. So it'll be a Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma game if you're watching in Miami. Now, I know Kenny Albert personally, so I'm kind of going to abstain from this one just because I happen to know him. There was a time way back in the ether where I did a sports broadcasting camp. Shocker, I know. And Kenny Albert was one of like the guest announcers, and we stayed in contact a little bit. He's a very nice guy, great family guy. Side note to the side note, that year was actually in the class with Clark Breen, Mike Breen's son.
Oh, nice.
And Mike Breen actually came to talk to us there. And he's a phenomenal guy too. Can't speak enough about all those guys. They're great. So I will abstain. I will say Vilma to me is a very cerebral analyst, and I like the way that I didn't think he was going to be good initially, but I think that he's come into his own. So I would abstain. I would go more A tier if I was picky, but I'll abstain because I have some personal slack in the game here. So
I think because Vilma is still a little too this is still new to him. It makes me, I'm kind of 50-50 on it being A, but I think this is the definition of I don't want to put Kenny in a B tier because I don't think that's the kind of announcer he is. But I think we're going on the total team, right?
Yeah,
and. Yeah. I think just because Vilma, he's good so far, it's still early for him. On the NHL side, right? Eric Johnson and TJ Oshie have debuted as color analysts so far for a couple games. TJ just did his first game yesterday, and Eric Johnson's done I think 2 or 3 games so far. Yep. Early returns on them, personally, I actually like how they've done.
Phenomenal. So they're both really good. Yeah,
I think with Vilma, it's just one of those things where, I think you could say the same with like me saying like with EJ and TJ. Ironic rhyming there.
How about that?
It's like it's good, but it's still a little too early for me to catapult it. If they do a bang up job in the next like 2-3 games, like this, if we did this in 2-3 weeks time, this is an easy A tier. Yeah. I think this is B tier for now, just because Vilma's still like it's still a little early, but I'll put B tier. And honestly, like this is B plus essentially. Like this is top of the B tier. Like if we had a tier list, I think this team would be the very top of the B tier. They're not going like it just and if this was individual, Kenny Albert, I'm with you. He's an A tier. Like it's not even close. Dude did 4 sports in 4 days. Like come on. He's one of the best. I think of the. It's so weird to consider modern era because like you can do this for so long, but like let's say modern era ish, like younger guys, so to speak.
Agreed. On to the 1:00 games. Carolina at Atlanta. This is the team that I'm not really sure of, so I'm going to kind of lean on you for this one. I don't know if you know enough about them. Jason Benetti and Brady Quinn.
Jason, I'm going to admit I'm not 100% familiar with his work, so I feel like me giving a grade wouldn't be proper. With Brady Quinn, I've heard snippets of him. I don't have issues, but I think with Brady, it's kind of the stigma of they hired a quarterback to an extent. But I also don't. I don't want to like again. This is the tough part for me when I haven't heard them enough. Like I don't know if it's necessarily fair. It's tough. It's tough. I think. Well, it's funny because I feel like going forward, Brady's probably going to get even more opportunities now, considering what's happened on certain announced teams on some networks. But I think I'd say it's I almost want to say incomplete for now, just because I haven't heard them as a duo enough. So like I don't know, like this is something I would even rely on people that have listened to them more if they think the chemistry between those two is really good, and if they think that there's something there. So like I feel like grading them, I would be dishonest grading them. Like I haven't heard this duo enough.
That's reasonable. I kind of fall into the same pathway as you. If I am giving them a grade, I'm giving them a C, only because again, like to me, I do value an analyst that has a little more length in the game, as a color commentator, a color analyst, and so Brady Quinn to me doesn't have that length that a guy like Vilma does, or even a Herb, even like other guys that we'll see. Actually, the next team that we'll see. A little more late in the game, but I got to hear more of Benetti. I've heard a lot of good things about him. I've seen little snippets here and there on X. I got to watch a full game with him, but unfortunately, he's not really a guy that does a lot of just Giants games. I don't think so. We'll go from there. Bucks Bills, Ian Eagle, and JJ Watt.
I mean, I'm never going to have an issue with Ian Eagle.
It's impossible to.
It's impossible
to.
And JJ, like, again, he's another guy. It's like, he's done it for a little bit now. I mean, just based off his personality, I think, like, JJ's kind of done, like, a pretty good job with things. Like, I think, still want to give it more time, but I feel like JJ is, I don't want to say trying that he's trying to emulate this guy, but I feel like JJ is trying to go more towards, like, the Greg Olsen aspect of it, to where when we eventually get to Greg Olsen on this, like, I love Greg Olsen as an analyst. I love him as an analyst because I feel like he's really hunkered in to learn more. Like, even though he's retired somewhat recently, the game has still changed since he's played, even in those couple of years. And he is hunkered down to really be able to give the combination of his experience in being in the trenches, but also what the game is evolving to. And I think JJ leans more towards that. And I think him with an Iron Eagle, it like, you couldn't ask for a more perfect, like, compliment to JJ, I think, with a play-by-play guy. And again, I'm going to hit back to it because this is the sport that I see, like, the commentary duos the most. Can't wait for that sub-episode when we do a commentary duo for NHL side. But, like, Mike Monaco has done games with both EJ and TJ. And I think, like, kind of like how Mike Monaco is, like, the perfect person for those two to have, like, their first couple games with. I think this is the same thing as JJ is really getting his feet more wet. With an Iron Eagle, I think is fantastic. Yeah. It's A or S. Like, it can't be lower than that. I think just off of Ian alone, everything, just off him alone, it's extremely good. I think JJ's actually been pretty good so far. Like, I think he has.
Yeah. So, Ian Eagle is an S tier announcer. Any sport that he does.
Yes. If this was individual, him and like
Kenny Albert, they're S tier. Absolutely.
The two of them would be S tier.
Absolutely. So, J.J. Watt, to me, I think that he's a good analyst, but I think that he would be more suited in the, and this is going to take it back a little bit, and you might disagree with me here, but this is where I think he'd be better. You remember the old Fox team of Kenny Albert, Moose, and Goose?
Yeah.
Daryl Johnson and Tony Siragusa?
Right.
To me, J.J. Watt is in that Tony Siragusa mode. I think he would just have fun on the sideline. He'd be crazy and all that. I think he's great in the booth, but I think he's a little out of place there. I think he'd be much better on the sideline as an analyst, kind of like doing like the sideline interviews with the coaches, because who's going to back down from J.J. Watt asking you a question like that?
Well, do you also think that maybe JJ, and of course, like, you know, it'll be whatever they assign him to, but like, do you also think JJ could also specialize as well, like kind of the not sideline reporting necessarily, but sideline, like, you know, pregame, halftime, and post show kind of deal, like that we've seen other NFL legends do? Like, do you think JJ could specialize in that potentially?
I think he could, and I think that depending on what network he goes to, I think that's where he might end up going, because I feel like Fox is going to be turning over its crew in a little bit anyways. I think you're seeing that now with Strahan and Gronk being more prominently featured, and, you know, guys like, even guys on CBS, guys like Burleson are being more prominently featured. Matt Ryan is too. They're changing the old guard to the newer guard there. So I think he might go in that mode as well, but I do kind of like him where he is right now. This next crew, I don't like at all.
Okay.
And this is one of my two F tier crews.
Okay.
It's Chargers and Jags, Spiro Dides and Adam Archuleta. I have never liked Spiro as a football announcer. I think that his cadence and his tempo announcing and his points and even his excitement are just too off for football. To me, he's definitely more of a basketball guy because that's more his bread and butter. I think that, him branching out, it doesn't really do it for me. And Archuleta, he hasn't really made any kind of salient points that I could ever think that I would remember saying, oh, that was a good point by the former St. Louis Rams defensive back, for all of that. I never thought of that. So to me, it doesn't make the game any better when they're around. It doesn't make the game, any more fun. I'm sorry. They might be great people. They probably are, but that's an F tier pairing for me. I'm sorry.
Do you think Adam would be better if maybe – do you think that Spiro does a good enough job at trying to help Adam, like weaving him into things and letting him the play-by-play laying out and like setting him up well? Like, do you think he does? Because could it be a case? Because I've seen some people comment and say like they actually kind of like Adam on for his color stuff. Like, do you think that if maybe there's a better play-by-play guy next to him, like this duo doesn't work, but do you think Adam himself could work better if he had a guy that like is he being teed up like well enough? In your opinion? Just to play devil's advocate for his side, because I'm not going to disagree with your ranking overall. Maybe I'll say D because I kind of don't want to put anyone necessarily in F tier, but if there is anything close, probably this specific duo.
To me, I don't necessarily know if I've heard enough of Archuleta's stuff to really, contemplate whether he's good at kind of, getting the games down right, but I don't know. I think Spiro's an albatross for him. I think if he was with somebody else, I almost would want to see him with Benetti. I want to see maybe that pairing would be a little more interesting, just kind of see if maybe that would work out for him. Because again, two different styles I'm not really familiar with, maybe. But listen, if people like Archuleta, that's fine. I go with that. I think they can work out in that aspect for you there. Do you say D tier for them?
Yeah, I'd say just because again, it's a personal thing. Like I want to try to avoid F tier just from my perspective of things, but this is relatively close to it if you can be. I think most fans.
You know me.
Yeah.
You know me. I'm not avoiding F tier if I get the fucking point. Okay, Chicago at Minnesota. Now, this one I think you're going to have some opinions on. So I'm going to let you go first because I think you mentioned a guy earlier who had the spot taken away from him. So there might be some hurt feelings there. This is the Burkhardt and Brady game, which should be a Burkhardt and Olsen game because Olsen. I know. I will say this.
I have no problems with Burkhardt. Like I don't hate him in any way.
No. I mean, listen, I miss Burkhardt back when he was doing Mets games. I get that he wanted to do this and he's better on Fox, but like, come back to the Mets once in a while, please. Be the fourth guy in that booth. But I don't think Brady's bad. I just think that there's something very funky about how he got that role and how he kind of pushed Olsen off to the side. I don't really like that to me. I know that you're an Olsen guy, so
No, yeah, I'm a Greg Olson guy. I think he's fantastic at what he does, and yeah, just like it's a simple matter of fact. Like you want to talk about paying for the name value there, and that's essentially all you're freaking getting. Like
yeah,
like I almost like this feels like the one to separate where it's like Kevin like high up there, but Brady is like he. Tom Brady knows football. You know what my thing is? Tom Brady, in moments, non-commentary. Let me clarify that.
Yeah.
When he's done like these, like when he's gone to like essentially be paid to like speak at like things, and it was at like this random thing, like guys sitting down in like an armchair and like being asked questions from a crowd, like whatever the situation is, whether he was like a guest speaker and they're asking him like football questions or stuff like that. I think he's had moments where he's actually good. I just don't think he is able to transfer them as a color guy. I just don't. And look, we've seen this across the history of sports. Like, look, the best player at his peak is not always going to be the best at insert name of owner, GM, coach, play-by-play analyst. Well, I mean, they probably won't get play-by-play, but analyst, like it's just not the case. Like I think Tom to me is the definition of he should be more like. I think you would agree with this. We both love and know Wayne Gretzky is one of, if not the greatest hockey players of all time. I think Wayne is the perfect studio guy. I think he's great as a studio guy. I don't know how he would do as an analyst guy in a game, honestly. I don't know if that would be the cleanest, but I think as a studio guy, Gretz is perfect.
I think so. Here's what I'll say too. On that, I think you're right. Gretz, player to studio. That's the path that should have gone. Forget the head coach and GM stuff in between there. Because
yes. No, it didn't happen.
Nope.
Stop.
Am I being
exactly?
Yeah. Brady has made some good points, but you're right. I think to me, fine analyst, great player, punchable face, not really good voice that I like to listen to. Drags Burkhardt down, I think, and it's almost like to me, it's almost like those two. The combo of those two is like the frat boys in the college get the radio announcing gig. It makes sense to me. Let's move on from them. This is going to be my one and only incomplete because I know very little about this team. Packers Giants on Fox, Adam Amin, and Drew Brees.
Breeze, I can only go based off of what I've seen in comments, and people are just not really that impressed with him. Yeah. Again, he's another guy where it's like, we know the knowledge is there. Adam Amin, I think is like he's fine. Like he's been doing it for a little bit. He's had his opportunities. Like I think he's relatively pretty good at what he does. I'm almost kind of with you. I almost want to give it an incomplete because like I can't like with some of the other guys, like I could probably say like, oh no, like they're earlier this season, or maybe last season, like there was a game, there was a call, there was like a breakdown. I can't tell you Drew Brees, like what he's like, if there's been a great breakdown with him so far. I just can't.
What I am going to say is that I am kind of excited to see them because I'm actually going to be home this weekend. So I'm excited to watch this game. And I'll be listening for the commentary. I'll make sure that, I listen for that. Obviously the game's going to be what the game is. And I live in a Giants household, so who knows? But we'll see from there. Two more games on the 1 o'clock tier. Bengals, Steelers. Oh my God! If Joe Burrow was back for this game, it would have been great. If only. But unfortunately, we get old man Joe Flacco and old man Aaron Rodgers. And it's a Kevin Harlan and Trent. It's a Kevin Harlan and Trent Green vehicle.
Oh God.
Oh. Okay. I know that Kevin Harlan is divisive. I know that there are people that don't like him because he's just way too over the top at times to a point where
I love Kevin.
I love Kevin Harlan. He's so I almost did a freaking Mike Adley there. Jeff Hardy. Oh my God. I almost did that. I love Kevin Harlan. I think he's spectacular. And you know what? I don't mind Trent Green. I don't mind Trent Green at all. I think I think
we've seen Trent Green for so long doing this. Like he's been doing this for a while.
Yeah. It almost reminds me of like back when Brian Greasy used to do games back in the day, or Bob Greasy used to back then. and they're a good team. They bounce off each other very well. They do a lot of good work together. This to me is a true S tier.
Yeah,
Harlan and Green are a true S tier. Just because anybody paired with Harlan is going to be incredible.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I was gonna say. Like, I think like a human being with a pulse next to Kevin Harlan is a B tier minimum. Like, just based on who the analyst is, and is the analyst gonna bring it? Like, Tom Brady would be the only one of the few people on this list to bring him down. Maybe Archuleta too. But like, I think like Harlan, like you said, like, dude, I love Kevin Harlan. Like, people can say he's like here's the thing. Like, obviously everyone has different tastes, but like I feel like, well, maybe every once in a while he does put a little bit too much emphasis on certain things, emphasis on the wrong syllables. Like, I think in the important moments, he brings it like very few do. In the critical moments, 2-minute drive. If this game goes to a 2-minute drive for one of these vintage quarterbacks, he's gonna bring it. Like, come on, this is SA tier wherever. Like, nothing lower than A. Nothing lower than A.
No, this to me is one of the best tandems you have in announcing in football today. Unfortunately, we go from one of the best to another one of the worst.
Oh, no.
This is my second, and I think my last F tier was. I just gotta see. Okay, yeah, this is my last F tier. There are a couple ones that are gonna be down that I think are gonna be lower ranked, but Texans Titans is the game, so it doesn't matter who's got this one. It's gonna be a disaster. Chris Myers and Mark Schlereth.
Yeah.
Look, Chris Myers. He has.
Am I the only one that feels bad for Chris? Like, he's had so many different like analyst partners over the last couple of years, right? Like, they haven't been doing this for several years in a row, right?
He's just not a good. Yeah, but he's just not a good play-by-play announcer, man. He's just not. Mm-hmm. He. One of the things that you need when it comes to being the lead announcer is that you have to have an energy that has to be matched, and it's almost like any time that Myers is out of game, the analyst's energy is lowered because they're matching Myers. They don't want to go over the top of it, but Myers brings zero energy, or he can't hit those registers like a Harlan can or like a Burkhardt can. Like, I felt so bad for Jags fans that had to sit through Cam Little's record-breaking field goal and have it be Myers' snooze fest.
Right.
The moment wasn't even anything because it was bad, man. It was bad. It was bad. Schlereth, I think, is a good technical analyst. Unfortunately, he's brought down significantly by the fact that Myers is, I think, one of the worst lead announcers that's in the NFL in today's game. This is an F tier one for me as well.
Yeah, I'll put it pretty low because even for me, like, I feel like Mark Schlereth, I feel like I like him at times, and other times I'm just like 50-50. Like, I feel like he's a bit of an acquired taste if you're going to listen to him for the full 60 minutes. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to abstain from F, but for me, D is the lowest on those. So I guess D tier.
Yeah. In the 4:00 games, we go Niners Cardinals on Fox. Kevin Kugler and Daryl Johnston. Here's what I'll say. I really, truly like Kevin Kugler on Westwood One when he's doing radio broadcasts. I don't think he's a great TV announcer. I think radio, he's extraordinarily descriptive. He has a good voice for it. He has a good cadence for it and everything. I think he loses a little bit of that when it comes to television stuff. And again, that's not his fault. Some guys are just better at radio than others are, and better at TV than others are.
That's why we need radio announcing. Like, I want radio to never go away. I want radio to never go away. We need radio announcing.
Agreed. I agree with that 100%. I would tend to go Kugler on a B tier. Again, I think that this is one pairing that I think the analyst detracts some of the faults of the lead guy. Because Daryl Johnston is a lifer when it comes to football analysis on TV. And his acumen and his ability to bring knowledge into the game helps offset Kugler's shortcomings when it comes to TV announcing. You put this team on radio, and it's an immediate S tier. S tier. But TV-wise, they're hampered by the product. So I give it a B tier for me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree. And honestly, it is an acquired art of, and I think that's one of those things that people may not realize. It's like the difference between being a crew, whether you're the play-by-play or the color guy, for a game on radio and radio listeners versus that. Like, it's one of those things where, well, the one class I had that somewhat focused on it in my undergrad days, but like the sports broadcasting / business side of things, like there's a difference in the art of telling the game of what is happening on the radio and the TV side. I know that might sound obvious to people, but like really, if this ever touches anyone's ears and like they're actually very curious, like listen the next game you're willing to, even it doesn't have to be your own team, like listen to a radio broadcast if you can of just like an out of town game and really pay attention to like how the play-by-play guy is telling the story of the game and the action that's happening, as well as the analyst, and then watching a regular game. Like you will be able to tell a difference there.
Just try to find the announcing tandem that's, not extraordinarily homerish like the Vikings team. The Vikings announcers are great, but you can tell they are just all about the Vikings and damn everybody else, basically.
I do kind of like that though. I think there's a little bit of charm on that.
I will say too that for research purposes, Vince Scully, when he was doing Dodgers games, people brought radios in the Dodger Stadium in the 60s and 70s. They wanted to hear Scully call the game, even though they were there at the game live. That tells you how great an announcer is.
Of course. One of the best of all time.
Seahawks Rams. Joe Davis and Greg Olsen.
I mean, you know where this is going for me. You know where I would put this one.
Lead it off, please.
I mean, Greg Olsen, I sung his praises before, and I'm going to sing them again. Greg Olsen, I think, is if there was an announcing course or school for like professional athletes that want to try to get into it, he is the prime example of a guy who, from his playing days into his announcing, and the knowledge that he has, because especially I think the more recent a guy is, I think the better it is. Not to say like, if you did it 20, 25 years ago playing, you couldn't do it now, but the more recent, obviously, the better it is. And the fact that he has been more than willing to even, I listened to, God, we're dropping a million hockey references here, but like Duncan Keith and like the Hockey Hall of Fame that was this past week, right, Rick? Mm-hmm. Duncan Keith kind of mentioned in his speech, like he gave a shout out to his son for helping him fall back in love with hockey, now being a part of the game from a dad / coach for his son. And I almost feel like for Greg, I wonder if he has that feeling. And he exudes like he has that feeling with football. Like you can tell he's very meticulous. He cares about making sure he puts in the best possible research for himself and bring his A game. Like I think it's just absolutely outstanding. I think there never should have been a reason he should have never ever in any way, shape, or form been taken off the definitive A teams for Fox. And I still think it's a joke that he is not their lead overall color guy. It should not be Tom Brady, and it's not even close. And then Joe Davis, I mean, like you could put a decent guy next to Greg and it'll be a good dude. But I think Joe Davis is extremely talented at what he does. I have no issues with it, truthfully. Like this is I said before, like what minimum A tier for some guys. This almost feels like I don't know if I want to hear a conversation for anything aside from S tier. Like I think this is an S tier tandem here. I think Joe also, like, I'm not saying Greg helps carry him, but I think Joe and Greg have a good chemistry. I think they're really good at what they do together.
Oh, we're about to brawl then, my friend.
You
are about to brawl. This is a C tier team for me.
Really?
Greg Olsen is an S tier color analyst. Joe Davis is an F tier lead guy.
Really?
I do not
see. Okay, I don't mean to say that Joe is the definitive S tier, but I think he works with Greg. But I'm interested to hear what your point is.
I think together they are fine. I think Greg Olsen runs circles around Joe Davis.
Okay.
I think Joe has a vocal range to me that just comes off as too illegitimate and too flat. Like it's almost like the excitement levels. Here's what I'll compare it to. And I hate to use him as a comparison because he's a snarly little dweeb, but I'm going to anyways. Michael Cole.
Okay.
Do you remember moments in WWE when they would be calling something and then Michael Cole's microphone would sound completely different on like really high points?
Yes. Go
back to if fans who don't know, go back to the 2018 Royal Rumble. The lead up to and the moment when Nakamura wins the Royal Rumble. You have the regular sound for the lead up to, and then the call of it is Shinsuke Nakamura wins the Royal Rumble. Like he's trying to like curtail it for posterity reasons.
He also he did that at Mania too, like the famous Daniel Bryan Mania win at 30.
The Miracle Kid,
yeah.
Which by the way, one of the worst damn calls I've ever heard in my entire life.
Seriously.
Joe Davis to me, like, and the funny thing is that he always seems to get Los Angeles games. He's the Dodgers announcer, and so he always seems to get LA games. I don't know what that is, but to me, he just comes off as very inauthentic.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer you to have energy, and that's fine. But the energy he provides, there's almost like no ramp up to it.
Right.
And then when you want him to go past the point that he's already gone past, he doesn't.
Okay.
You know, like if he hits a high point in the first quarter, like a first quarter touchdown, it doesn't get any more exciting from there for him.
Okay.
Like if you do a plateau of like his exciting calls, they're all on the same level. And to me, that's not what I like. Like I said, Olsen runs circles around it. Olsen,
right.
You're 100% right, should never have been taken off of the A team.
So quick question, just like hypothetically, if rather than Joe Davis, if this was another play-by-play guy that Greg has done work with, let's say if it's Noah Eagle, if it was Noah Eagle and Greg, would you rank it higher than C?
See, I have a real problem with Noah Eagle for nepotism reasons. I have a real problem with that. Also because he does the Nickelodeon games and he tries to sound hip for the kids. That's really annoying me. I would probably put them at a B just because I think Noah Eagle to be is a D announcer. Until he steps out of his father's huge shadow and becomes his own guy and not just a charity case hire, then I think that drags him down. Olsen to me is one of the best analysts out there. Doesn't matter. You put him with a mop and he'll call a great game.
You really could.
Yeah. So yeah, that was controversial. Now it's getting to more controversy. I have one more F tier, but it's not this one. It's going to be the next one. That's going to surprise you probably. But this is Baltimore and Cleveland, Andrew Catalon, Charles Davis, and Jason McCourty. D tier for me.
Yeah, I think this is the case.
I do need 3 in the booth.
Yeah.
And not only that, Jason McCourty is riding off the coattails of his more successful brother. I think Charles Davis is weighed down by this crew.
Yeah, I agree. I think Charles Davis himself would be higher up, and I think in a usual 2-man booth with him and a really good play-by-play guy, I think we would both agree is higher up. But yeah, I'm not just in general, like 3-man, unless like it needs to be something so hyper specific, like a specific situation that I think a 3-man could even have a chance of working.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah. And it's not. Do we almost think? I hate to say, do we almost think Jason is holding them back? Like, would they maybe be a C if it was just two of them together?
Who Catalan and Davis?
Maybe.
Yeah, I do because again, Catalan to me is vanilla. There's nothing.
Do you think with Catalan and maybe going back to like what we were saying about Joe and as I learned with you and Noah Eagle, like, do you think maybe they're guys that are like they're getting these chances on the football games because like we do need play-by-play guys, but like they're more suited to other sports? Because I feel like Noah, like I feel like I've heard people say good things about him. Like he's also done basketball, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like I've heard basketball fans like give praise for him during basketball podcasts.
Yes.
Do you think maybe it's just a case where like, look, like you're a play-by-play guy, you're gonna get as many games, as much work as you can and want to and stuff, and like certain guys are just better at certain sports than others. Like, do you think that could be a case with a guy like a Catalan? Like he's better with other sports, but just not football.
Well, my thing is, like, how does Catalan still have a job? All you got to do is go back to 2014 Gonzaga and note the hack-a-shack that he called hack of something else because the Gonzaga forward that was getting fouled all the time was Polish. How do you still have a job?
Yeah, well.
How do you still have a job? You know who I miss? Carter Blackburn. He was the other guy that was like a rookie that came on when like Dick Enberg and Vern Lundquist were retiring. He was good. But like, I don't know. Catalan to me is just nothing. Like, I agree. I think Charles Davis with a better play-by-play guy is better. Charles Davis is a legend, man. He's the Madden analyst, you know?
It says Carter Blackburn is currently with CBS Sports, from what I'm looking at.
But probably CBS Sports Network. He's not the NFL announcing tandem,
Yeah.
but he should be. And then the last 425 game, Chiefs Broncos, Nance and Romo, F.
I don't know, Jim. I had to throw the reference in there at least once.
Yeah, hello, friends. Look, I think that Nance is great at golf. I think he's great at basketball. But I don't think he's that great at football. And I think that Romo brings it down even further because it just sounds too amateur hour when he's, doing whatever he's doing. To me, it's not a tandem that works. It's not a crew that syncs up well. And you almost feel like you want to, it's like you're going to see Nance like in the CBS, the old school CBS jacket doing the games, and Romo's going to show up wearing flip flops and a backwards cap. He's gonna be like that kid from Backyard Baseball, flip flops and a backwards cap instead.
Do you almost feel like maybe after the first season or two, like after they took Phil Simms off that team and it was Nance and Romo, not Nance, like Jim Nance and Phil Simms to me, like just I felt like they were better together, like than Nance and Romo.
Much better. And I attribute that primarily to Simms. Because Simms had a folksy style of speaking that balanced off with Nance's straight man pretty well. Romo is like that comedian who's trying to play it up for laughs, and it's like, dude, your jokes are falling flat. Just stop.
I was gonna say, I've seen some people comment this. Like, do you think Romo tries in certain moments? I'm not saying the entire game, because if anyone tried to do it the entire game, they would not have a long-term career. But do you think he tries to make himself the spotlight in moments too often, like with what he's trying to say or do? I've seen some people comment that. I don't want to say he's going that far, but what do you think of that comment that some people might think about him?
Well, I think it's hard for me to say that he's trying to make himself the spotlight when he's never really been in the spotlight before. But I do agree. I think that the thing you have to try and blend when you're doing sports analysis is personal experience with what you see on the field and your knowledge as well. You have to blend that very carefully. And so I do agree that sometimes Romo kind of leans heavily on the personal experience a little bit too much. It takes me out of the game a little bit when he's talking about what happened to him back in 2004 or whatever it was. It's like that's 20 years ago, dude. Like no one cares. Like what's happening now? Like talk about what's happening now. Like why are you bringing up Wade Phillips in this instance? Like what's the point? So yeah, I can kind of see it, but yeah, you're right. If he did it all the time, it'd be the NBC guy who somehow still has a job. Speaking of, Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth, the NBC crew. I feel bad for Tirico.
I was going to say he's one of the best in the business.
He is, and he's worked so hard and from the ground up to get to where he is right now. And he's excellent at delivery. And then there's Collinsworth, and here's a guy who doesn't really know when to quit.
It's one of those things, like people have clipped it off so many times, like just him praising quarterbacks, but especially like Mahomes and Allen, when they do something so like he will praise them for throwing the ball away like they threw a 50-yard touchdown.
Exactly. Like give it a rest, dude. Give it a rest.
Chris is a guy that almost for his own good, he should more be like a studio hits guy. Like I just don't know if he has it as for an analyst anymore.
You know what? Honestly, I think you're right. And I don't know if the bridge was fully burned. I would have Collinsworth replace Bradshaw on the Fox pregame, the Fox game. Terry's old, man.
Yeah.
Terry, I feel bad for Terry, but he's old. And it's time for him to go.
If you're NBC, how much money are you going to throw at Greg Olsen to come and team with Mike Tirico?
Oh my God, that team would be amazing. Wow. Tirico and Olsen?
How much money would you be willing to spend? Because honestly, I would pay the dude
$30 million a year minimum. Give Olsen whatever he wants.
Yep.
Oh, that if we're playing matchmaker, that's a great team right there. 100%. As stands out to Rico Collinsworth, B. Collinsworth drags down immensely.
Yeah, I think Collinsworth was better before, but just like I feel like the last 5-6 years, like again, aging gracefully is tough, and I think we both agree we want to try to be as nice as we can in certain instances, but with Collinsworth, it's just like it sometimes feels like he's phoning it in.
You're done, dude. You're done. Yeah, it's bad. I miss Summerall and Madden, man.
So yeah,
that was a special duo. That was a great duo.
You know, I love listening back to just clips of them like that. Those are two professionals.
Yep. I love that crew. I loved Lundqvist and Gary Danielson. The year that Auburn had those two crazy wins, they had both games. I loved. Oh my God, who was it? Keith Jackson. You remember the clips of Desmond Howard? Hello, Heisman.
Yes.
Keith Jackson's voice was so good for football. And he's a big dude, really folksy. Made you feel like you were sitting on the front porch of Cracker Barrel just listening to him talk for 5 hours. It was amazing. I miss him too. They were great. I wish I missed Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. As in, I miss watching them. Because
well, real quick, just for the viewers, in case they when they listen to this part, they're like, "Who's Keith Jackson?" This is a quote of Keith Jackson, of with Rick mentioning his voice. This is a quote that was said of Keith Jackson, according to Steve Kelly back in the Seattle Times, back when newspapers really meant something. Right? What a time! A throwback voice, deep and operatic, a voice that was to college football what Edward R. Murrow was to war. It was the voice of ultimate authority in his profession.
That is Pulitzer Prize winning words and wordplay right there by Steve Kelly. Oh,
100%.
So accurate.
And I love any Edward R. Murrow reference right there.
Oh, you have to. You have to. And God, good night and good luck, man. It's great. It's awesome. But back to Buck and Aikman. D.
Yeah.
Nothing else to be said on that. D. You know, the fact that you were transplanted as a duo to a dying institution like Monday Night Football kind of shows you where you rank. I'll be honest with you. It does. And it's even worse when I pine for Joe Tessitore doing these games over you instead.
And old Joey T, it's he's having a go of it on Monday Night Raw, and it's a bit of a mixed bag.
It has its moments. It has its moments.
It has moments. You know what it is? I think was still like I feel like I said this before, but again, I just feel like with Tessitore, I feel like, and I'm not saying this is his fault necessarily. This is more of a WWE thing that they want every single commentator to sound close to and have the mannerisms and voice patterns of Cole. And there are some moments where Tessitore will say something that to me it's like, oh my God, wait, is Michael Cole doing this? And then I remember it's actually Joe. It's like, oh no. Like,
that's why Cole's director of broadcasting now. He wants everyone to be mini coal miners.
The worst possible director of broadcasting you could have, just in terms of like how to actually do the job. In terms of like, I'm sure Michael Cole could actually like just get people to do it. Like in terms of like, if he wasn't hands-on with showing them how to do it, because he can.
All right, quickly rank the current WWE league guys. Cole,
oh God,
Tessitore, Vic Joseph.
I mean, Jesus. Oh God, I mean, for me, it's just kind of Vic, just because he's different from the other two, at least somewhat. I feel like he has his moments.
Yeah, you know what? I will say this: there was a time when he did Raw, I believe. He was the Raw play guy.
Just very briefly.
Yeah, it was him and like Dio Madden and all that.
It was briefly, and I think it was too soon. And I feel like it. Like this is why I tell people, like, look, just because Triple H is taking over doesn't mean anything. Like he don't always make the right choices. I feel like who is it? Who I think he did a little bit of AEW. Of course, Tony Khan's never going to actually have him be the lead guy, but just in like overall wrestling, I think he did the USA shows for New Japan when they've come. Ian Riccaboni, I think.
Yes, Riccaboni. Riccaboni's like the Ring of Honor guy. He is great.
He should be. Like maybe Triple H would never like if you're AEW. Like if I could take it over AEW, one of the first 5 choices I'm making is I'm making Ian Riccaboni my lead play-by-play guy.
Yeah,
It's not even close.
Yeah. No, 100%. Riccaboni has something really special to him, like the historical presence of it for such a younger guy or like a younger generation guy. It's something about that's incredible. He would be in like my rotation. Vic Joseph would be there. Tessitore I like in certain instances. I think he'd be really good. Bring back more Ronaldo, man.
Oh yes, yes.
And look, and here's what I'll say too. I know he got some flack. I think it's fair flack. I didn't mind Jimmy Smith that much. Remember him when the Biggie cash-in?
That was his best moment for sure.
Yeah,
I think Jimmy was just one of those things where, like, maybe even for himself, I don't know if it was ever really supposed to be the plan for him to be the lead guy for the time he was, and like on Raw specifically. I think Jimmy is kind of one of those things where it's like, he had his run. I don't even know if, like, I'm sure maybe he thought he could be better in some instances, but I don't know. Like, Jimmy just never felt like the guy who even he probably wanted to be there for the long term. Like, it just, I don't know if it was ever going to happen. But yeah, no, if I had like a two branded thing, like Ian Riccaboni and probably Vic Joseph, just even for the aspect of it that they're going to be there for a long time as well. Like gone are the days of being able to rely on an announcer being there for 20, 30 years. Like where is the next Gorilla Monsoon? Where is JR?
Oh, where is the next Bobby the Brain Heyman, man?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Even color like
Gorilla
Corey Graves I actually do like. I actually think because he got a spell with play-by-play earlier this year, I actually don't mind him being the play-by-play guy.
Yeah,
I think he's good at it, but like to me, his peak will always just be as like the heel commentator of being like the heel leaning guy to the straight-faced play-by-play. Like, I think he's the best heel commentator WWE had post like the best of Jerry Lawler. Like.
Yeah. I mean, I would even go so far as to say that heel Heyman in the Invasion era was excellent. You know what? I didn't honestly hate in some ways. Other ways I do. I didn't honestly hate heel JBL as a color commentator.
Oh no, I loved him actually. Yeah, no, Taz was also great. I mean, I don't really think he was too much. I don't know if he was necessarily much of a heel. I think he was just like Cole. Like, here's the thing with Michael Cole. Like, we are really going off the rails this episode.
Hello,
but we're having fun. But basically, like, I actually saw a video about this. I think Michael Cole, when he was on SmackDown, when he was on the B show, even though to fans it may have been the A show, I'm not disagreeing with that, by the way.
Yep.
I think from that 2000 and maybe I'm a little too late with the first year, but let me just say like 04, 03, like let's just start that range there. Like the 03 to 08 or so, that stretch with Cole on SmackDown, and it was predominantly Taz, but that was also, we got hints of JBL on color in that span of time as well before the 2010s when he would get a chance on it. I feel for me, Cole was unique in that aspect of it. Like I think that early days SmackDown Cole levels above the modern day Michael Cole.
Oh yeah,
levels above.
Oh
that.
yeah,
and it's not even close.
Yeah,
like I don't know if it's just maybe so many years of Vince McMahon yelling in your ears and sodomizing you and through the years, as it's been said about. Might as well have felt like I don't know if that. And the idea of also Kevin Dunn being there, and I'm sure like Kevin Dunn had way too much power in the WWE for what he should have had.
Oh my God, yeah.
One of the worst television directors of all time.
Agreed.
I'm sorry, the obscene amount of camera cuts that he used to do.
He just loved camera cuts, man, and it was really annoying.
It's just an absolute look. Jim Cornette hates him, and for good reason.
Oh yeah,
for very good reason.
It's
but
just
I think we have it. If we had a wrestling company, company. If we had two brands and a developmental territory, I think because you mentioned Morrow before, I think Morrow was perfect for what NXT was at its peak.
Yes,
and I think Ian, and Vic Joseph as like the two main brand guys, and I think Morrow as your developmental commentator. I like the development territories commentator. He. Just hyping people for the young guys. Like I think Morrow was perfect for that in the NXT's heyday, and I think
absolutely
that would be like the dream set of play-by-play guys. And then just hope that your color commentator can pick up the stuff.
Well, if I recall this correctly, I think one of the best and most unsung duos came during the the Cruiserweight Classic, if I'm not mistaken. Because wasn't that Ronaldo and Danielson?
Yes. Danielson. Yeah. Okay. As an analyst, I think I could see it. Yeah. Because I was gonna say as someone on the creative and booking side, no. But
no. But
as an analyst, no, I could. Yeah.
Yeah. If you made him like the analyst in the developmental with Ronaldo again, like that, the CWC was made better because the matches were let to breathe, and because the two of them were kind of like they were great at their craft and they knew what they were talking about. So
Danielson loved it.
Yeah, you could tell he had a great time doing that.
It was probably truthfully one of like the last like moments in WWE that he like definitively enjoyed. Like I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Of course, he missed the in-ring stuff, but I'm sure he loved doing the Cruiserweight Classic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because those are like his guys, the contemporaries, guys that he trained. So someone flew with umbrellas. What happens?
Fantastic stuff right there. So yeah, that was the massive NFL announcing teams tier list that we had for you on the spot, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, that was a fun one. I think
good times.
It was a good one.
And tune in next week when we'll do our Southern Reporter tier list next.
So Rick, I feel like we'll actually be pretty quick here on this.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll force myself to be quick at least.
Yeah.
NFL playoffs, fact or fraud, as we said. So we're going to very quickly look at the NFL playoff picture as it stands today. As of today, so no changes, no if this team, replaces the NFL playoff picture as is in the AFC and the NFC. Where the team ranks, and do we view them as a fact or a fraud?
Yes.
I think we're going to have fun. Let's start on the NFC side of things here, Rick. Let's start with the conference of the defending Super Bowl champions, and let's start with the defending Super Bowl champions because the current number one seed numero uno in the NFC is the 7-2 Philadelphia Eagles. They have a tiebreaker over Seattle based on, this is what I'm reading off of the standings from ESPN, based on best win percentage in conference games, which is a 6-1 conference record for Philly and a 4-2 conference record for Seattle. So there's that, just a context.
Yep.
Philadelphia, fact or fraud?
Fraud. They're not going to be the number one seed because they have too many games coming down the stretch that are going to be too dicey for them, and their wins haven't really been that impressive to me. I mean, what can you give me a win they've had this year where you say they beat a good team and convincingly, or you can say, oh yeah, they beat the Giants, but it's the Giants. They also lost to the Giants.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So I think frauds.
This game ended up being, I think, a lot closer than it was for them. But I think just in terms of a game that they were able to make the big plays in the right moment, probably that Eagles-Vikings game, again, a lot closer than it probably should have been. So maybe that's a kind of a knock against them. But they also they were in the lead for a majority of it, and they didn't lose the lead in the fourth quarter. So I think maybe that's probably like the game that you can give to them so far. Because even that Buccaneers game, the Rams game is the definition of if you replay that game, the Rams might beat them.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, look, I was on this train early enough in the season. I think there's definitely cracks in that offense. I think there are things that you can exploit. I think if you attack them properly defensively, look, the Packers just held them to 10 points.
Yeah.
If the Packers had Toyotathon Jordan Love, they would have won that game, baby. So I'm with you. I say fraud for Philly right now. Like they are a fraudulent one seed.
I agree.
So there's that. Seattle Seahawks, 7-2 record for themselves. They are currently, and as they are the second seed, I'm sure some people are going to point out that them and the Rams do have the same amount of wins. And if this application would not screw me over in the in its interface, I would be able to quickly list how the reason that the Seahawks win the tiebreaker over the Rams is based on best win percentage in division games. The 2-1 Seahawks in division versus a 1-1 Rams team. But of course, that'll be remedied very quickly because I believe they're facing each other this week. So
they are, yes, and that'll be my determining factor. I think the Seahawks are a really good team. I don't know if they're this good. I don't know if they're good enough to win the division. And that's my big thing is that I think the Rams are built a little bit better than them. The Seahawks have an incredible story in Jackson Smith-Njigba. They're really, really good. The defense is playing very well for Mike McDonald. I just think they're going to hit a wall that they're not going to be ready for. Because again, that's kind of how it goes with Sam Darnold, right? Is that like you have these moments where he starts off really really good, and then the wall comes, and then he falls back into form. So I'm going to say fraud. It hurts me to say that about them because I think they're a really good team, but I'm going to say fraud because I don't think they're going to win their division this year. I don't think so.
I'm willing to say fact for them, and it's not even just for the fact, like, it's not that I'm going to place them, like, high above the Rams, because honestly, I'm probably going to end up giving the Rams fact here, too. Like, I think you can have two, like, this is something I don't know how often we really see with the NFL right now, is, like, two great teams in the same division are just going to end up duking it with each other for two great regular season games. Now, if they get blown out by the Rams, this is a different conversation, but I think as of now, I would say fact just because they've played phenomenal. This is a defense that took a next level. Mike McDonald, I think, as a coach, has also vastly improved. I think right now you do have Sam Darnold riding a really good high, and you have JSN, who's one of the few guys that can actually challenge for Offensive Player of the Year this season, not named Jonathan Taylor. So I'll say fact, and this doesn't detract my thoughts on the Rams either. I just think it's a really good team. So
agreed. Okay.
Yeah. That's right. All right, Detroit Lions are 6-3. They win the tiebreaker for the third seed over Tampa based on head-to-head win percentage. And as long as they can stay at a relatively even keel with Tampa for the rest of the season, they will win. The head-to-head is going to be the determining factor, which kind of sucks because Tampa actually have one extra conference win than them right now, and they're 2-0 in their division versus the Lions, who are 1-2 in the NFC North. So it's that head-to-head game. So Detroit at 3, and we can almost kind of round it out with Tampa at 4 here, Rick. These two, the last of the division winners in the NFC. What are we thinking for these two?
Both are facts, simply because I think Detroit has enough staying power to supplant the teams above them. I think Detroit ultimately will be the number 1 overall seed this season. I feel like they're coming into their own and they're hitting their stride really well. So I think they're going to be much better. Tampa, were it not for the fact that the rest of that division is just an absolute cluster,
right,
I think they would be fraudulent. But even though Tampa has so many injuries, the fact of the matter is that Baker Ball's working for them.
Right.
And he's making this team run. So yeah, give me a fact on this one. I think the Bucks will win their division. I think the Lions will win their division. They'll be number 1 overall. 2 facts on this one for me for sure.
Detroit definitely a fact. Like they were the sleeping contenders that started out a little bit slow in that first game when a lot of people had doubts. And while they've had a couple losses since then, it's not due to talent. It's just due to this is a whole new coaching staff, that new guys taking on new roles, and I think they've definitely had runs. I think we've yet to see the best of them this season, so definitely fact. Tampa, they're going to win their division, but I have to say fraud only because there's just too much that has hit this team to where I'm just concerned if they'll end up being a one and done in the postseason. Like, I don't know if they'll be able to get any higher than even the third seed at best. And I think if they run into a bad matchup, which as of today it would be against the Rams in the postseason, that's a tough one for a team, an injured team up and down, to be facing a gangbusters offense in the Rams and also a lethal defense. And not fraud. Like, they're not fraud because they'll lose the division; they're going to win their division. But fraud just because I don't see them necessarily bothering the cream of the crop right now in the NFC, just because they're so injured riddled. And it feels like this is a team being robbed of what could be a better season because of all these injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that it's constructed right now, you want to be one of those top 2 seeds because number 1 gets the bye, number 2 plays the worst wild card, but 3 and 4, conceivably you could see those teams being upset. You could see the one playing, the 7, the one playing the whatever it is, the ones in there, but the 6 and the 5, like a 5 might literally, depending on how things go, a 5 could host a divisional round game.
Yeah,
depending on how things get out. Truthfully, yeah. So
we could end up seeing in both conferences potentially a 5 seed making it to the conference championship game.
It's true. It's very, very true.
So let's do a hat trick of the 3 wildcard teams in the NFC, and then we'll do the same once we get to the AFC.
Yep.
The 3 wildcard teams: 5th seed Los Angeles Rams, 6th seed Chicago Bears, and 7th seed, just barely, and with that tie helping them, the Green Bay Packers. On the outside looking in at the 8th seed is the 6-4 San Francisco 49ers, and the 9th seed, the only other team in the NFC outside of that top 8 that is at minimum 500, Carolina Panthers. But we're not going to focus on the the Niners and Panthers. We're going to focus on those three main ones. So Rams, Bears, Packers.
Rams are the only one to me that are a fact because they are built so well this year. And this I think this is Stafford's final run.
Yeah.
And if this is the final run for him, what a way to go out because this team
is balling.
He's balling. This team is so good. You mentioned how that offense is just lighting up the scoreboard, and that defense, man. Whew, like we talked about Jared Verse and Braden Fisk constantly, and Byron Young constantly, but it bears repeating. This defense, you do not want to face them in the postseason. They are just lethal and terrifying. So I agree with you there. So
real quick on Stafford, by the way.
Go ahead.
The last game he threw an interception was the third game against Philly. Ever since then, he's thrown I have to see. I don't know if he threw a touchdown after that, but let's assume the interception was after both his passing touchdowns. He's thrown 20 passing touchdowns in a row without an interception. That's what he might. It's a legitimate conversation. I'm not saying I want to give it to him because, of course, if you've watched the show the last couple of weeks, you know who my MVP would be. Matthew Stafford does have a legitimate chance, and I will give him credit. He has a legitimate chance of playing himself to a late career MVP award, which will drastically change the conversation of him for his career.
So he's the only quarterback this year that I would accept being MVP over Jonathan Taylor. He's the only one. Because, again, if he continues that stretch, him and Jonathan Taylor are having incredible seasons. Fine. It is what it is at that point. Let me talk about the Bears and the Pack. The Bears are still so young.
Yeah.
And they are still so unsure of themselves. They're winning games close. They're winning games by outscoring their offense. But then you have that stinker against the Ravens, where it wasn't even Lamar they lost. They lost to Snoop Huntley.
Right.
You lost to Snoop Huntley. Come on. But I do think they're trending in the right direction. Ben Johnson's got them in a really good spot here. The Packers. We expected more from them.
Disappointing,
right?
to say the least.
So disappointing. Fire Matt LaFleur. I want him fired. The only thing that I will say...
You versus Matt LaFleur is one of the greatest rivalries that has come out of this year.
Yeah. The only thing that I will say about the Bears and the Packers, I know we're not dwelling on the teams below them, but realistically, which team below them is going to catch and supplant them? The Niners, but the Niners still have a couple tough games to go here. And Carolina needs a good quarterback, man. They are wasting Ted McMillan and wasting Rico Dowdle's Renaissance season for Bryce Young, who can't even see over his own 2 feet. In
a perfect world, Rick, because Kyle Shanahan really does have his guy, Mac Jones, Brock Purdy would have never gotten that contract extension. And at the deadline, he would have been traded to the Panthers at the deadline. In an alternate world. No, I'm with you. Fact for the Rams, I think I would give them a little bit of an edge against the Seahawks, but I just think they're both really legit teams right now. I think you could swap them. Like if the Rams were the 2nd seed and the Seahawks were the 5th seed, I would still think Seattle could definitely beat Tampa as well. God bless if you're facing the NFC West 5th seed this year, because it's not going to be an easy game as the 4th seed. Mm-hmm. Chicago Bears, I'm with you. The only reason we'll say fraud is because they're so young. And they still have to really have a concrete identity of themselves on a consistent game to game and even inside the game basis. Caleb Williams he's shown improvement, and I think he deserves credit for that. I don't think a lot of people are giving him enough credit. I think Caleb has legitimately taken some strides, but as the number 1 overall pick, you need to take even more. And I think we just need to wait for him to even take higher leaps for himself.
Yeah.
It's just the rest of that team, various aspects. Sometimes the defense will have a really good week, and then sometimes they'll get 40 dropped on them from Joe Flacco and the Bengals. And like you said, Tyler Huntley, there are some blips in the radar. Overall improvement. Is there going to be a second half tail off for the Bears? Probably, but they're a respectable football team that you can actually stomach watching this year. We could not say that last year.
The only thing that I would like about the Bears winning the Super Bowl in my mind is that Jonathan Owens would go home to Simone Biles and say, "Here's my Super Bowl trophy," and she'd say, "Here are all my gold medals."
Yeah, exactly.
It's well, okay.
Yeah, you tried.
Yeah,
and
you
then,
tried.
Yeah, 7th seed Packers right now, fraud. Such higher expectations of them, especially early in the season. But you had a bad game where you tied. You lost to the Browns. You should have never been a tie in that Cowboys game either. And that was just an ugly game against the Eagles. I'm not going to hear the argument that it's Philly, it's a good team. You could have and should have won that game, and you could have and should have won the Panthers game too. This team should be first in their division, and they're not.
Exactly.
And I think, again, if Detroit and Green Bay replayed that game, I don't know if the I don't know if the Packers are winning it this time.
I don't think they do. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the AFC side of things. Very noteworthy. There is only one team outside of the top 7 in the AFC that is above 500, Rick. That is the Kansas City Chiefs, the team that has run this conference in this decade, right?
Yeah.
I was comparing them like in baseball with the Astros, right? It was 7 or so years that they made it to the ALCS. It was either them making it to the World Series, or if you beat them, you probably won the World Series most likely.
Yep.
Well, except for those 2020 Rays, but like that's the Chiefs with the Super Bowl, with the AFC Championship game, and the only team that's beaten them is that Bengals squad. Like they make it year after year, and they're gonna win it, or they're gonna get smoked both times.
Exactly.
And now they're outside the playoff picture right now because Jacksonville wins the tiebreaker based on head-to-head. If the Jaguars and Chiefs have the same record at season's end, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be the reason the Kansas City Chiefs would not make the playoffs, and that is a kind of biblical writing that is just comedy right there. But let's go to the 3 wildcard teams in a row. The 5th seed is the Los Angeles Chargers at 7-3. The 6th seed is the Buffalo Bills at 6-3, and the 7th seed is the 5-4 Jacksonville Jaguars. Duval.
Oh my god! Remember how you were talking about alternate timelines? Who just looked at this as the current timeline? And the Jaguars not only beat the Chiefs, but have the tiebreaker over them now and are knocking them out of the playoffs. What planet am I living on?
Oh
my god! Oh,
shout out Liam Cohen.
Exactly. All right. The Chargers look good this year, but my thing with the Chargers is that I still consider you frauds because we've been hoping and talking about this time in and time out that you're going to take that next step, and you never do. You know, last year there was that stinker against Houston in the first round. They were the 5 seed. Like you want to try and improve and be better than you were last year potentially, and they're just not doing that right now. So, to me, they're a good team, but we've been fooled by this magic mirror sequence before. So fraud for me. Buffalo. You gotta call fraud on Buffalo right now, man. I really do, because I think this Miami game exposed a lot of weaknesses on this team.
Yep.
A lot of areas that I forget who it was that said it. Somebody said, when you have an all-world quarterback, it can mask and disguise your deficiencies. But when Josh Allen's not playing well,
those deficiencies are really a problem,
and they're rampant. That's an issue right there too. I literally believe that all 3 of these wildcard teams are frauds to me. I think the Jaguars, they're just weird, man. They're a weird team that doesn't know how to play properly week to week. They have really good games and they have stinkers. And then they have the one from last week where they let General Davis Mills march down like Sherman in Atlanta and win that football game to save the Texans season. If that's the reason that the Texans end up going to the playoffs over Jacksonville, you fire Liam Cohen after one season. Don't care.
It's not great work.
Fire him. Not great.
What's truly amazing is that had they held on and beaten the Texans, I believe they would be the 6th seed because they would have an equal conference record to the Bills, but they would have a better division record than the Bills.
So Buffalo would be the 7th.
Actually, no. They would have a better conference record than the Bills because they would be 4-1 in the conference.
Yeah.
So this team could be the 6th seed. And honestly, the funny part is, the Bills wouldn't be tied with the Chiefs, but they hold the head-to-head win over the Chiefs as well, which right now, if you're Kansas City, and currently the Chargers beat you earlier on in the season. Yep. The Chiefs right now don't have a tiebreaker advantage against any of the 3 wildcard teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a situation we have not seen at all.
That's wild to think about that. Yeah, for sure.
It really is. I'm with you, by the way, like hat trick of frauds. The Chargers, it's strictly because like they've had so many injuries on the offensive line. They are being held by glue and paper clips.
And Trevor Penning.
Yes. They don't have a chance. Bills, I'm going to repeat this in a couple weeks' time, even if they go on a 2-3 game winning streak and look dominant. If not now, then when? Just get
Fire
it done.
Sean McDermott.
Just get it done.
Yep.
And then the Jaguars, look, Here's why I don't want Liam Cohen to be fired, Rick. He is already 6th all-time in career Jaguars coaching wins, which I think is a funny stat.
You mean he passed Gus Bradley already?
No. Well, hold on. Gus Bradley is 5th. Gus Bradley is the line of demarcation.
Oh, okay. All right.
Gus Bradley is 5th all-time in Jaguars coaching wins.
Oh, okay.
So the names that Liam Cohen has passed early on here are Mel Tucker,
Oh,
Mike Mularkey,
oh boy,
Urban Meyer, and Darrell Bevell. Who, remember, Darrell Bevell is only on this list because he replaced Urban Meyer. So Liam Cohen is above those guys. Gus Bradley is 5th with 14 wins.
Ooh.
So
okay.
Liam Cohen could pass him at some point next year. So I want him to because I just think it would be funny.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And I mean, look, so far we have frauds in the wild card. I don't know if that's going to improve here with the 5-4 AFC North leading Pittsburgh Steelers. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm fraud. Like, there's so much inconsistency with this team. When the defense is absolutely getting slaughtered, the offense is going to show up. And then when the offense is maybe or it's like the offense starts to struggle when the defense is finally having a good game. Too inconsistent. They are nowhere near the top of the AFC this season, which, hello, mid-2000s. for the top of the AFC. But yeah, no, I'm sorry. The Steelers are a fraud.
And yet, if we were to take a look at the Steelers' rest of the season here,
and ironically, the team they would face at the playoffs are today is the team that just whooped them in primetime.
There's a possibility that they could finish 8-9, which would be the ultimate send-off for friend of the show, Mike Tomlin. But again, this is what happens when you hit your wagon to the star that is Aaron Rodgers. Don't always work out for you well. Yeah, the only saving grace right now for them is that their division is so rampant with injuries and inconsistency, and the Cleveland Browns that they should be up by 7-2 right now.
Yeah,
and they're not, and that's a problem. That's because of Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, I agree. I mean, they're fraudulent. If they win the division, they will be a quick one and done.
Well, part of it is also the defense. Like, there is no excuse that they should have lost that Bengals game earlier in the season.
None.
Shouldn't have lost that. I would say that's the predominant game. Like, maybe the Seahawks game because there were too many mistakes by the offense, but even still, like, at minimum, I would say 6-3, and 6-3 would at least give you a little bit more of a buffer right now over the Ravens. The Ravens are 4-5, and if the Bengals beat you again this week, the injury demon doesn't like this news, but Joe Burrow is going to be cleared to practice soon.
Dude, my heart cracked a bit when I saw this week's episode.
Same,
because you know he got that text and you know what that means.
He got the text, and Joe's like, "Anything happened?" It's like, "No, not at all."
No. We're gonna try that raspberry sauce you mentioned.
Oh god!
Oh, no.
Shout out to the Mega Casuals.
Oh my god!
Third seed in the AFC, New England Patriots. My Drake May take from a couple weeks ago don't look too bad now. Do it.
That looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, why not? In a weird season like this, why the hell not? In fact, make Vrabel Coach of the Year. I mean, you know, it's not even the fact that it's like just Drake May's having a great season. They're leaning on Travion Henderson, who's having phenomenal games. Their wide receiving core, they're doing what the Giants did their first year, where they had guys who were like cast-offs and nobodies and role players. But Stephon Diggs is there to kind of lead things along. And the defense is good too, man.
Yep.
That's so good. Yeah, fact. And wouldn't be surprised if they leave the conference at season's end. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, there are 3 8-2 teams in the AFC right now. The Broncos are ahead of them because they win the tiebreaker over New England based on best win percentage in conference games is theirs. And then just for context before we get to them, the Colts hold the tiebreaker over the Patriots and the Broncos because of, once again, best win percentage in conference games. So Patriots are 4-2 in the conference, Broncos are 5-2, and the Colts are 6-1. So kind of evens out. I'm fact on the Patriots. I think the leap that Drake May has taken has absolutely been phenomenal. It has AFC East fans coping and seething that the Patriots have already found their franchise quarterback. And yeah, like this is honestly, Rick. Remember when we said that Vrabel all these years was the heir apparent to Bill Belichick? You got the quarterback that's performing well with a solid running game, with wide receivers who aren't necessarily household names, and the defense is playing at a high level. Christian Gonzalez balling this year. That defense balling this year.
It sounds so familiar, and this is kind of why, as I mentioned to you, this is why I'm happy that I don't continue to root for this year. I can just sit back and watch this and like let the chaos reign, man.
Yep, and you know who's having a really breakout season on this Patriots defense, dude? Former first round pick who's never really been able to make it stick anywhere. K'Lavon Chaisson. 6.5 sacks leading the team. And what have I said on the show before? You trust the devil you know than the devil you don't. Mike Vrabel looked at an old friend in Harold Landry III and said, I need you to be part of my defense. And he is second on this team in sacks right now.
Yeah. And I mean, it also just goes to show you that, the rest of the team that's there is still performing at the high level that you want them to. I mean, look at a guy like, I know he's kind of down in like the tackle numbers, but look at Milton Williams. He had that phenomenal game in the Super Bowl, parlayed into a decent contract with New England, and what's he done so far? 27 total tackles, 3.5 sacks. I'd say on that defense, that's a pretty good starting year, I would say, for him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great mix right now.
Yeah.
We're giving this praise to the Patriots. Dude, I got to say, Broncos, though, kind of fraudulent. They've been so up and down this season. We haven't seen the sophomore leap from Bo Nix that we thought. He doesn't have the chemistry with any of his weapons that we thought they would.
Yeah.
It feels like there's something amiss between the connection of Sean Payton and this offense right now. And they're kind of lucky to be 8-2 at the moment, but they need to figure this out because this division is still very much something to lose, and it can be lost within the next couple of weeks because they face the Chiefs this week, and then they have a reprieve. Like it's kind of going back and forth with their schedule a little bit, but
yeah,
they're facing the Chargers at season's end. That could very much be for the division, and the Chargers beat them once already, and this Broncos team doesn't necessarily look like it's at the peak of its powers right now, especially because Pat Surtain got hurt as well.
It could be for the division, but it also could be for a playoff spot, depending on how it goes switched out.
True.
Let me tell you something. If Denver gets it right this week and they go to 9-2, they're going to be 11-2 after 2 weeks' time because they have the Commanders and the Raiders.
Right.
They're going to be 11-2. So this game, this is a must-win. Yeah, and for an 8-2 team to call it a must-win game is kind of crazy. It's a must-win game. You want to keep the Chiefs at bay.
Yep.
And you want to build up enough credibility that you have a large enough lead in the conference to make that game at the years are not matter that much. But yeah, there's something rotten in the state of Colorado, my friend. They're frauds.
Yep.
I mean, Surtain's out for a bit, I think, right?
Yeah, he was put on IR if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that's the minimum 4 missed games.
Yeah. So Nix hasn't been great. Sutton's kind of just been quiet and non-existent, really. It's crazy to me to think about that. And yet, here they are, 8-2. What Sean Payton black magic is there that we don't know about, right?
Truthfully, J.K. Dobbins might be like the premier player on the offense that's performed this season. He's just consistently been there for this team.
And I think he's questionable to play this week anyways.
Yeah, that's the sad part.
So
the guy that you could rely on the most on this offense is questionable.
Yeah, but I mean, they have what, R.J. Harvey? So maybe he has a breakout game against Kansas City?
R.J. Harvey. He's really like the only other running back that's gotten significant carries.
Yeah. So maybe
Jordan McLaughlin has 1 carry.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you're finding role guys like Troy Franklin in there as well. Maybe he can be big, but like again, it's just.
I mean, I will give credit. Nick Bonito is trying to get that defensive player of the year award.
Nick Bonito is great. He's a phenomenal linebacker, but he can't do it all. Yeah. I mean, this defensive front is great, but fraudulent for me.
And Rick, this guy might be the only coach that could take Coach of the Year away from Mike Vrabel, and that is Shane Steichen. Saved his job, saved the franchise, may have saved a bunch of other things. Yep. 8-2, top in the AFC right now. This is the best Daniel Jones has ever looked in his career, even with the bad games recently. Yep. This is the best that Jonathan Taylor has looked in several seasons, leading the NFL in yards and touchdowns now, both by pretty wide margins, by the way. Jonathan Taylor already just 3 touchdowns away from surpassing his rushing total, like in his career, and there's still plenty of games to go. Tyler Ward has been phenomenal this season to start. Alec Pierce has developed into, I think, one of the best underrated receivers in the NFL. Michael Pittman's just even being like just very quiet and a solid enough player. And Josh Downs as well has emerged from this team as well here. That offense is churning. And then defensively, you have great talent in the likes of Nick Cross. You have a defensive front line who is just doing like there's no superstar in that front four, in the front seven as a whole, but Franklin, Gallimore are doing their job. Buckner has been great. Latu so far leading the team in sacks, and then Kwity Paye just silent, shows up here and there when need be, run stuffing with a couple sacks here and there.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a team that is performing. This is just a team that's been all around. They've been great. They've been strong. They've even gotten some pretty darn solid kicking from Schrader, 13 of 14 on the season for him.
Mm-hmm.
Before going on the IR, so they had to replace him with Money Badger, 7 of 8. So the kicking game has been pretty on it as well, to say the least. And good punching and good punting from the man himself, Rigoberto Sanchez.
Rigoberto.
So Rigoberto and co. Fact. I know they've had their stumbles, but they've played like the best team in the AFC.
Up until the last 2 weeks, when they lost the game to the Steelers they shouldn't have lost, and they nearly lost the game to the Falcons, so they shouldn't have lost either. They pulled it out in overtime thanks to Jonathan Taylor's heroics.
Yep.
So the bye this week for them is critical. I'm going to say fact as well, because I think Taylor's having a career year. This team has really good pieces on all sides of the ball. But their schedule coming out of the bye is a murderer's row gauntlet. We'll see how good this team is coming out of it, because they go to Kansas City, then they host Houston, to Jacksonville, to Seattle, host San Francisco, host Jacksonville, to Houston. They've still got a bunch of meaty games on this schedule, including that back-to-back with the NFC West. The two. They're basically, if you look at that schedule right now, there's a stretch where currently 4 weeks in a row they're playing playoff teams. What do you always say? What do we always say? You want to prove that you're a good team? Go beat the teams you need to beat. Go punch with the big dogs.
100%.
That's what they have to do. So it's a fact. The Colts have been really solid this season. Daniel Jones has had a little bit of adversity now in the last couple of weeks. Now he's on bye. Let's see if when he comes off of the bye, he's still Mr. Magic Daniel Jones, or if he's back to being Mr. Jones, who got Mrs. Jones walk out on him in the song by Billy Paul. Let's avoid that at all costs.
Right.
I do love the Indiana Jones memes, though.
They are fantastic.
Yeah.
The Broncos and Colts have a opportunity to sink the Chiefs' season the next 2 weeks.
They do. That would be hilarious.
It would be, and it would be a sign of something this season. You're talking about what timeline we live in, heck of a timeline. But no matter what timeline we're in, Rick, the hashtag SAOC Pick Challenge exists in some way, shape, or form.
It does, doesn't it?
So that was our factor fraud for the NFL playoffs. As of now, we'll probably bring this back, I think, in maybe 3-4 weeks' time to reassess things.
Yeah,
as we
sure.
go.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the hashtag SAOC Pick Challenge is the weekly pick challenge that the Podfather, Justin, and I embark upon, to where we pick games on a 4-to-1 points scale, 4 being the most confident that we are in a game, 1 being the least amount of confidence we have in picking games. We go in a serpentine draft order based off of the point standings going into that week's pick challenge. We must all pick at least one upset, and the upset is based upon just straight lines. We don't bet, trying to be cheeky of who's going to cover. We just go straight off that. So we must make at least one upset pick with a minimum or 2-point pick. The upset's given to us by our friends at, in the echo somewhere, ESPN Bet.
For now.
Oh, yeah.
For now.
That's not going to last that much longer.
No, it's not.
Our friend will be leaving us soon.
Yes. What a shame.
And we can use a tie if we want. We can call a tie. It must be used with our 4-point pick that gets upgraded to a 5-point pick. And I think that hits everything. Now,
it does.
There's a bit of a challenge, ladies and gentlemen, because we did not expect this episode to go the way it has. We still don't know where the heck Justin is, actually.
No, we have no clue.
Yeah. We have our theories, mainly that he has locked himself in a sleeping tent right now and is just absolutely knocked out. Probably that.
Yeah, he might be going on a plane somewhere at some point. I mean, knowing Justin, he's a world traveler, that jet setter.
Mr. Worldwide, but jets. Mr. Worldwide himself. So we don't have him here, but we have a interesting substitution here for the pick challenge this week. I mean, it's still the pick challenge, ladies and gentlemen, but a little twist on it. Podfather, I'll let you explain.
So, those of you who have followed the show for as long as you have, and first of all, why? But second of all, thank you.
And, yes, exactly.
Yes. Know that the two of us here are the champions of the pick challenge. So we have come up with a championship roadblock for Justin, considering that he is trying to fight for his first title, and he is currently in the lead as of now. So the championship roadblock is thus. Jurg and I and the entity will make our selections for the week, and then we will let Justin know the games he has to decide what to pick from, and he will make his decisions somewhere in a booth with the Ernst Young envelopes, and I'll call it the wrong one, like Warren Beatty did all those years ago. But it's a bit of a handicap because Justin doesn't know what games he's going to be left with. So we could be really, truly devious and leave him all 1-point spreads, you know. But we're trying to be nice to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
real quick. If there are people who have kept up with the show for a while, you will harken back to a time very early on in the show's history where there was an episode where Justin made all 4 of his picks because he was going to miss the program. He made all 4 of his picks, and we had to pick based around that. So
correct.
This is that coming back all this time later.
Yes. You know what this is? Long form storytelling. Learn something, WWE. Come on now.
Yeah, gosh dang right.
Anywho's. So the pick challenge standings. Last week was a very good week for somebody here. That would be the man to my left, or right, depending on how you watch this. Jurg went Denver at 4, New England at 3, Seattle at 2, and Chicago at 1. Every single game hit, my friends. That's what we call a perfect week. And in this sport and in this pick challenge, a perfect week nets you not only 10 points, but a bonus point because we're cheeky bastards.
Yes.
Unfortunately, for Jurg, that means that he only got to 68 points instead of the nice number of 69.
And I don't want to have a 1-point week. So
close, and yet so far. Now, while that was going on, Justin only got 2 wins. He got the 4-point win with Detroit and a 2-point win with the Colts. So his 64 points became 70 points. So the lead that was 7, actually that was 15 2 weeks ago, is now at 2.
Which is absolutely absurd.
It is. It's amazing how fast the tide turns. Unfortunately, for Justin and Jurg, they were the only ones that won games last week.
Poor Rick.
The kids missed on both their picks, including the comeback of comebacks with Houston. So they're stuck at 41. And Buffalo let me down. Green Bay let me down. San Francisco never stood a chance. And Carolina was Carolina. So that means that I am at 55 points, and officially, my friends, not only am I waving the white flag on the season, but I'm also going to say the king is dead.
Oh,
long live the king. And what that also means is that with first overall pick, I get to do something incredibly spicy.
Indeed, you do.
Now, we were talking about this off the air prior, and I mentioned that I'm going to do something interesting. I'm not sure if Jurg knows where I'm going with this.
I have theories, but I really
he has theories. So Jurg, while I'm looking up the last piece of the puzzle for my statistics here, why don't you tell me what your theories are?
So I believe I'm trying to remember the exact wording you used pre-show, which, by the way, I feel like we had one of the best pre-shows of all time before we started actually recording. One thing that you kind of mentioned, that there was a very cheeky game you were looking at that you felt, whether Justin was here or not, and now that I'm here, would kind of throw a spanner into things. So I'm looking, and it's a game that I think your wording was, it's not a game that either of you would have selected within your first couple picks. So I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm like, okay, what kind of game would he be talking about here? I'm like, and it's a combination of things like matchups, line, like the kind of like the teams that are facing each other, if it's a divisional game type of deal. Like one of the ones that came to mind for me was the Bengals Steelers. I'm like, okay, like yeah, that game burned me earlier this season. But even I was like, I don't know if you would pick that as your first selection. So then the next one that I thought of was the Bears Vikings one. I'm like, the former Bears fan for one season, Father Rick, is he going to go back his former team? That was another one. And then I think one of the last ones that I went to, because you kind of mentioned this is it's the kind of game that I think all three of us would probably push off until maybe our 2-point selections, is the Rams Seahawks game, because we both believe in both teams and we think that's just the kind of game. Remember, it's based off of a confidence scale, and
Sure.
I feel like we're all at the level of that game is as close to a coin flip as you can get, and we don't want to use a 4 or 3-point pick. So those were the first couple of games that came to mind. Those were my theories of what you could do with this 4-point pick, but I generally don't know what you're going to do. So
Well, Jared, those are all logical selections there. However, one thing that you have to remember about the Podfather is that when it comes to the time of the season when I'm not even anywhere near the top of the standings, all logic is thrown out the window, like the defenestration of Prague back in the 60s.
ain't that the truth?
I remember that. Czech Republic reference there. I'm picking a game with a great historical significance here, Jurg. Because for the first time since 1973, an NFL team will record 2 ties in one season.
Hold on. There's 2 games that could make. Oh my god!
Because prior to the season, when I made my picks, I looked at this game and I did not like either team. And I said, well, if I don't like either team, what am I going to do? And I remembered our 4-point to 5-point invoking tie rule. And if you recall, there was one game a couple years ago that I had that was a 6-0 game. I was almost on the money with it. So We're going with it again. Cowboys and Raiders will end in a tie on Monday Night Football.
Oh, Lord.
And the Cowboys will have 2 ties, the first NFL team to do so in 52 years. That's my pick. 5 points. Cowboys, Raiders.
Wow.
Yep.
What a...
I don't care anymore, man.
Ooh.
You didn't see that one coming, though, did you?
No. Oh, man. Okay. This makes things interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like what Rick was saying before, of we want to leave Justin games that, like, we want to be fair. We want to leave him a couple games that he would definitely like. So, like, definitely some realistic 4 and 3-point options. So as I'm looking at this here, one of these teams I definitely want to pick, but I don't want to pick them with my 4. So I'm trying to look for a very suitable game to put at my 4 spot. See, I thought I had a shoo-in at my 4, but my sources and my research has shown me that it may not be as shoo-in as I thought it would be, necessarily. So I'm looking over at the slate of games, and it's tough. I definitely feel like there's going to be some regret here with whatever I don't pick, but like sometimes, you know what my logic is on some of my selections, right, Rick? Is that I'm just trying to get this out the way. I'm just trying to get my pain out the way.
Yep.
And it worked with me last week, and dang it if it won't work with me again. And I think this is also following the rules, because we know Justin ain't picking this game in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
Give me the Patriots over the Jets tomorrow night for Thursday Night Football for my 4th.
There you go. There you go. Now, the only thing that I don't know of or don't recall in this contingency plan that I just thought of pre-show, but I didn't think any further on it on our end. What do we do now? Because normally Justin goes 4 picks and then 3 picks. So do we just go back and forth on our side?
I guess technically. I mean, no, in this case, yeah, I guess now I'm getting, this is my 2nd pick in a row. Then you get 2, then I get 2, then you get the last one.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
So
that's very fair.
It's still technically serpentine, just with
that's
2
true.
people.
It's such a smaller stake.
Yeah, and heavily handicapping ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
See, this is one of those, I do want to be fair, and I feel like he would be tempted to pick this game. Although I feel like you would pick this game.
See, I'm just going to caution you. You thought that was the case, but you didn't think I had the Cowboys Raiders pick.
That's true. Honestly, it's all wide open right now when it comes to you.
True.
You know, I got to be a little. Here's the thing: with some of my picks, I've been a little bold with a couple of my selections.
Okay.
And I feel like I need to try to continue to do that. I need to be a bit bold, and I need to go with stuff that I can kind of work with here. This team is, it makes sense. They're not the favorites going into this game. It's a tough road environment, but they've been on fire recently. I think they'll do well. My 3-point upset, which again, I don't think Justin would have made this pick. I think he probably would have picked another game here. For my 3-point upset, give me the Lions.
Ooh. Okay. I respect that as well. So what's funny about this, I think, from our vantage point here, is we've taken off the games where there's only one game going on at that time.
Yes,
for now,
which is hilarious.
Yes. With that in mind, though, because now that I'm thinking about it, there is one other game that has that. Let me just remind myself of who I picked in that one and see if I still like that selection. Because, as you know, I pre-make my picks before the season even starts.
Right.
Do I like this one? I do like this one because now that I've made a 5-point tie pick, and technically that counts as an upset, I'm going to go with all upsets. Why not? What the heck?
Have some fun.
Let's go to the first ever NFL game in España. Let's go to Madrid and give me Marcus Mariota and the Washington Commanders to supplant and knock off the Miami Dolphins.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Miami's favored by 2.5. Don't know why, but they are. And so there we go. So now we get to our 2-point selection here. And I want to just remind myself of any other upsets that I currently have. Because I just kind of want to like I said, pick all upsets that way. We're having some fun here on that end here. So just give me one moment here. I want to see if I have another upset. None in the AFC. That should tell you something. NFC. Oh, that's an interesting one if I want to go that route. But you know what? Something you said earlier to me is now sticking to my craw. And unfortunately, it's going to lead into a tie into our final segment. 2-point upset pick. I'll take my old team. Give me the hot Chicago Bears over the Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota. Okay. So now my 2 and my 1-pointers. Okay, since I have the flexibility, I've made my upset. Okay, so I think I know what I want to put for my 1-point pick. I just need to pick a game for my 2-pointers. I think.
Sure. Yep.
Dude, part of me wants to be funny with the 2-pointer, but I'm making a late season run. I'm making a 2010-2012 Vettel run.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is the thing that you're in a position now where you can just let me be the prankster prince and all this. That's fine. You gotta hunker down and be serious.
100%. Again, there's a couple games where I look at it, I'm like, I want to pick them, but I feel like I want to be fair. I want to give some of these to Justin, so I'm going to pick a game that, again, I mentioned Rams Seahawks before. I think as a game that all of us, I think this game is a prime thing. I don't know if you guys would have picked it in a regular format. I think it would still be available for me right now, and I'm going to be realistic, so I'm going to pick Rams over the Seahawks for my 2-point pick.
Okay.
And again, I think that's relatively fair.
It was the game I was thinking about for a possible 1-point upset pick there, so that's fine.
Yeah, I think that is a game that would have 100% gotten to the 2s for us, even if Justin was here.
Yeah.
And for my 1-point pick, again, I want to do right by the spread part is the thing. So if I feel there aren't enough wide spread margins, I will leave this game alone if my screen stopped working.
Oh boy. Uh-oh.
This is great.
This is what we get for the championship roadblock, apparently.
Yeah, right. It would just be amazing if Justin just popped in the stream right now.
It would be, wouldn't it?
We would just have to, completely reset everything we've done.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
Oh shit! And happy news for me, Connor Bedard scored.
Oh, well, there you go.
First point he's ever recorded against the Devils, apparently.
The Devils.
For my 1 point pick, okay. So there's a 5.5 point there. There's a 5.5 point there. There's a 6.5 point pick for him there. There's another 6.5 there. Okay, I'm looking at. I feel like there's enough 5 and 6.5 point spreads here, where I think it's fair. I'm with me making the selection. My 1 point selection will be the Ravens.
Okay.
Because Lamar is actually questionable because he missed practice today. I think he'll play, but it's kind of one of those. He's not going to be 100% going into the game. It seems. I still think he'll play. I still think they should be favored to win, but there is some question to it. So yeah, that's my selection.
Alrighty. So let me take a look now and see what games would be left over, because I believe we still have. Well, we can do this one of two ways. We can either do it where we leave the games left for just the pick plus the games for the entity, because I think they're also locked in a cryo chamber at the moment as well.
I think we should give Justin like the sanctity of having those couple extra games. I think he deserves that.
Okay, I respect that. So with that in mind, let me just take care of this. I just want to see how many games we'd have left on the docket in case we need to do a wheel spin, which we probably do need to do a wheel spin, but that's neither here nor there.
If I looked at it correctly when I did this morning, it looked like there were 14 games this week.
Let's see. Well, not counting the one that I'm taking. So 4, 8, 9, 10. No, 15.
Oh, really?
15 games, yeah. Only the Colts and the Saints are off this week.
Oh, wow. So then we don't even need a wheel spin.
We don't. 3, 2, 1, which works out in my favor. I only have one upset left on my predetermined picks. And since I said I'm going to take all upsets this week, thank you for leaving this game for me. I do appreciate it.
Of course.
Give me the frauds over the frauds. Oh, I'm sorry. Tampa Bay over Buffalo.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. So for those who keeping score at home, that means the following. That jury selections are the Patriots over the Jets, the Lions over the Eagles in the upset, the Rams over the Seahawks, and the Ravens over the Browns. I'm taking a tie between the Cowboys and the Raiders. Go me. The Commanders over the Dolphins, the Bears over the Vikings, and the Bucks over the Bills, which means that Justin has of the following 7 games to pick from. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Chargers, Jaguars.
Yep.
Texans, Titans. Panthers, Falcons. Giants, Packers. Niners, Cardinals. And Chiefs, Broncos.
You know, the way I see it, I think we did a good job. I think there are 4 games for him to make his 4 and 3 there that he would really like, and there are a couple juicy upset games there. I think we did a good job at keeping it fair.
I agree. I think we did a very nice job. We were respectful of the rules and everything, and just the hope is that he picks wrongly and that you go into the lead after.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was saying before, it's like 2010-12 Vettel, 20. I'm trying to think of other late season charts. I guess Seb was technically trailing about halfway through this. Lewis was trailing halfway through the season in 2018. So like 2018 Lewis, 2016 Nico, because he briefly trailed, I think, in that 2016 season before he ended up taking it. Senna in 1990, he trailed about halfway through the season before he ripped off like 3-4 in a row against Prost. Plenty of James Hunt in the famous 76 season.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's I think still to this day the greatest comeback in a championship point differential in the history of the sport. Maybe Max in 2022 was the next one, but that was so early in the season. So, yeah,
dude, I just to me it's such a loss because 94 started off so well. Senna won the first 3 poles that season, right?
But the reliability of the car was good. So I've watched season previews. Bless YouTube for having them. I watched a bunch of season reviews, I should say, not previews. And Senna, like that Williams car, because he had wanted to go to Williams for 1993, but Prost blocked it because he had a contract clause where he could block a teammate, and he did not want to be teammates with Ayrton again. Which is, it's one of those James, they became really great friends towards the end of Prost's final season there in 93. They were great friends in 94, and just the unfortunate incident at in the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola, which didn't get to walk the circuit, but this past summer I actually walked around that circuit and I went to the Senna Memorial.
Yeah.
And a very beautiful job by Formula One fans, like the flags and other things. I want to get extra green and yellow wristbands, and the next time I get to go to the Senna Memorial, I want to leave those wristbands there out of respect with the Brazilian flag colors. Like I'll try to get blue and white if I can too, but like predominantly the green and yellow. I want to get like extra wristbands because I love my wristbands, but I want to get extra wristbands just to leave at his memorial because that's like my thing is I wear wristbands to like at my job and stuff, and on like race days, and I would love to. It'd be my own little way of like he was before my time, but like I've watched stuff about Ayrton Senna and like how great he was, and he's just one of those guys where fans were robbed of what could have been a generational 1994 season between him and a young Michael Schumacher.
Oh yeah, couldn't agree with you more on that.
You had the young lion in Michael who was very, very close friends with Ayrton Senna. That Ayrton was kind of taking under like his wing. You saw some instances of them interacting in 92 and 93. Michael got a win in each of those two seasons in 92 and 93. And the Benetton car was up to snuff. Some would say may have been a little tampered illegal. But you had a Benetton car that behind Schumacher could win races. You had a Senna who... I'll tell this to the Podfather, but I have like my own idea of what could like a cool series about F1 that could be done. And that Williams is involved in that because 94, like they had the best car. They won the team championship that year. So they definitely had the best car. And we were just robbed of that kind of battle, and it would have been very interesting to see how it played out. And because Schumacher got disqualified that season, but I don't think that disqualification would have happened in a case where Senna would have been like there. Like I wasn't alive for it, so I forget off the top of my head. I'd have to rewatch 94, which I was more than willing to do. But like there was very specific circumstances that led to Schumacher being disqualified. I don't think if it had been Senna and Schumacher, I don't think either of them would have ever gotten that harsh of a penalty. Like I think it would have been like. It would have let the them go at it for the entire year, and I think we would have had a beautiful battle all the way down to Adelaide at the end of the season.
Couldn't agree with you more. I think that would have been, and again, alternate timelines, man. We can go on that for days, but
F1 is like I feel like more than most sports. Like you could literally make 100+ different what if scenarios with F1 over even the smallest of stuff. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
So that being said, Podfather, per tradition, we'll end with you. Give us a nice little, as from Formula One talk with a podium, rant and Rick's from podium. Give us a nice little rant podium to end off this episode.
I'm sorry, dude.
Oh no, you're tapped out.
No. I lost all my games last week, so.
Oh no.
Yeah. I have to do something that I never thought that I was ever going to do and promised myself that I never actually would do.
Oh, no.
But here we are. And now I have one of two choices here on what I'm going to do, and both are quite depressing and demoralizing that I'm going to have to do this. But
no.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to do the thing that I abhor the most.
No.
Let me give you the top 3 things that I like about Adam Rank.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I had to do this. I'm so sorry. This is not... I've been negative about it, and the football gods have clearly told me that I have to, have to right the wrongs here. So let me give you this podium, which is not... It's a very, very sad podium that I have to deliver this. Number 3, I guess, you went to Cal State Fullerton, which has a very cool mascot, the Titans. A nice blue and orange color scheme, I suppose. You're a California boy. You stayed home, local. You went to a Cal State school. You probably didn't pay that much tuition. So I guess, good on you for that, I suppose. Yeah. I'm literally gonna throw up everything after this whole thing.
This is hard to watch.
Oh my god! Oh god!
We may need to end this. We may need to end the broadcast early.
Glass got to come off for this one. Oh my god,
Oh, no.
Jesus. Number 2. I mean, according to your LinkedIn profile, it says you've been an on-air personality for the NFL for 30 plus years, which is nice to be working in one spot for as long as you have. It might be across different networks, but you've been doing something for 30 plus years that is fine and all. I mean, okay. And number 1, I guess, as envious as I am, I guess I have to give this to you. When you don't shave your face and look like what happens when a cue ball gains sentience. The mustache and beard combination is actually not terrible. I mean, it's bushy enough where it looks like you could hide a magic wand in there if you wanted to, but it's also well kept enough that it seems like you're probably Just for Men is working. You have a good supply of Just for Men in the house, or good beard combs and all of that. You look presentable on the air, I suppose. So, yeah, I mean, I guess those are the 3 top things that I like about Adam Rank. And the only thing that I'm going to say is that, it was either this or the top 5 donuts you should have at Dunkin' Donuts. And I went with this one because this was probably a worst taste in my mouth that I'm going to have to wash down with something. But, and again, listen, I hope the football gods took notice that I picked the Bears to win a game this week. So,
yes, you did.
Maybe that's just extra fuel to the fire of righting the wrong here. Yeah, okay. So
you are trying to repent and atone for your past football sins, and hope that the gods can give you an inside track here to still be in this pick challenge, because the pick challenge is going to be revving up, ladies and gentlemen, in future weeks. The season is going to be revving up. We will bring you more breakdown as the weeks follow of the week to week, and more analysis on any small and big news that we can get our hands on and have some fun with to discuss this NFL season. Thank you so much for joining us on this, what has been a mega episode of the program. We did not expect this to be as good of an episode as it did, but the 2 of us, we are stalwarts on this. We do the best we can. So from us here at the Sports Agents of Chaos podcast to all of you, thank you so much for joining us on another edition filled with fun, football, and chaos. Thank you so much to all of you, beautiful people. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye,
Cheers.
Adam.
Yeah. Cheers and bye-bye.